Chapter 659. Brat, it seems like you want to do this the hard way. Big brother, why are you talking to him? Just kill him. He nodded. Azura Island was one of the strongest islands in the outer sea. The disciples of the island were fearless. Even if they saw people from the other 9 islands, they would not hesitate to beat them up. Both of them were human king experts and had the right to be arrogant. Human kings only guarded the entrance. One could only imagine how powerful the disciples who entered the island were. Longao had already received news that there was no age restriction in the Divine Island's secret realm. There was only a cultivation realm restriction. That meant that anyone below the level of a great emperor could enter the secret realm. Without the participation of a great emperor or a supreme Dao martial artist, Longao was not worried at all. Even if he met a powerful illusionary divine martial artist, he could ensure his safety with his teleportation ability. Longao remained motionless as he stared coldly at the two of them. Originally, Longao didn't want to look for trouble. In any case, he had come here mainly for the key to the mysterious territory of the mysterious island. Unless it was a last resort, he absolutely didn't want to provoke the disciples of the so-called top 10 islands. But now, Longao had always had a principle. If people did not offend him, he would not offend them. If people wanted to offend him, he would definitely offend them. Before the two of them could move, Longao had already moved. Before the two of them could react, they were already rooted to the ground. When they regained their senses, they stared in horror at the figure that had already disappeared. At this moment, Longao's voice could be heard. Those who humiliate others will be humiliated by others. Today, I will give the two of you a chance. If you do this again in the future, I will kill you. Hearing the cold and murderous voice, the two of them shuddered. They looked at each other and saw fear in each other's eyes. Illusionary divine martial artist. These words suddenly appeared in their minds. As disciples of Azura Island, the two of them naturally knew what an illusionary divine martial artist represented. An illusionary divine martial artist was not someone they could provoke. Longao's figure disappeared without a trace. After entering the island, Longao followed Long Bai's instructions and shot towards the secret realm peak. The mysterious territory of the Divine Island was the number 1 forbidden area of the Divine Island. For the sake of fairness, the mythical island had set up a secret territory peak on each of the 8 islands. There were 5 keys to open the mythical island's secret territory. Therefore, when everyone entered the island, the first thing they did was to go to the secret territory peak as quickly as possible. The Mystic Realm Peak was unique in the entire island. The huge mountain peak was surrounded by water, like a paradise. According to Long Bai, there was a Mystic Realm Peak on each of the 8 islands, and the lake water around each Mystic Realm Peak was extremely poisonous. Forget about illusionary divine martial artists. Even great emperors would die the moment they touched the lake water. Because of this, the lake surrounding Mystic Realm Peak was filled with people. As far as the eye could see, there was a sea of people. No matter who it was, no one dared to touch the pool water. Under normal circumstances, the weakest disciples who wanted to fight for the keys were all illusionary divine martial artists. There were even a large number of illusionary divine martial artists. Such a warrior could fly, but in the current situation, no one dared to fly. I wonder when the taboo will disappear. I'm getting impatient. Taboo? Longao did not know what the taboo was. Longbai had not told him what it was. However, in a short while, Longao figured out what the taboo was. It turned out that the Mystic Realm Peak could not be entered at any time. Unless the mythical island removed the taboo, anyone who tried to force their way in would be killed immediately. This was also the real reason why everyone could only wait helplessly. Tyrannical. This was the tyranny of the mythical island. As the number 1 power in the outer seas, no one dared to oppose them. The disciples of Azura Island, Sky Universe Island, and the other islands all looked at the Mystic Realm Peak in anticipation. Time passed slowly. You're not from the 10 islands? Hearing the Thousand Arms Azura's words, everyone looked at Longao. Although the 10 islands usually fought with each other, they looked down on the people of the other islands. In the hearts of the disciples of the 10 islands, the disciples of the other islands were the lowest of the low. They had no right to participate in the fight for the key to the mythical island's mystic realm. The Thousand Arms Azura was one of the top disciples of Azura Island. He had broken through to the Holy King realm before the age of 30. On Azura Island, and even in the outer seas, he was a famous existence. The Thousand Arms Azura looked down on Longao and snorted coldly. "You overestimate yourself." The Thousand Arms Azura's words had a hidden meaning. Not only the disciples of Azura Island, but even the disciples of Sky Universe Island all looked at Longao with hatred. They all looked at him with contempt. "Get out. If you don't leave, we'll kill you without mercy. Who the hell do you think you are? How dare you try to snatch the key? You really don't know the meaning of death." Every one of them was overbearing, but Longao did not show the slightest bit of fear. With a cold snort, Longao said without fear, "The mythical island clearly states that anyone from the outer seas has the right to enter the island and snatch the key. Could it be that you guys?" Without waiting for Longao to finish speaking, everyone around him immediately began to shout. Each and every one of them looked at Longao angrily. They wished that they could immediately cut this person into 8 pieces and tear him apart. At this time, the Thousand Arms Azura and Sky Universe Island's genius disciple, Tian Feng, waved their hands. The two of them looked at each other and could see the hostility in each other's eyes. The 10 islands of the outer seas had always been fighting both openly and covertly. It was a situation of either you die or I die. Especially Azura Island and Sky Universe Island, they were like fire and water. Otherwise, it would be impossible for the other islands to not participate in the fight for the key to this island. "Who are you?" "Longao." Longao? He had never heard of this name. However, the other party was not from the 10 islands, so he did not have the qualifications to enter the island and participate in the fight for the key to the mystic domain peak. The two of them waved their hands. Then, more than 100 people rushed forward. Their intention was very clear. They wanted to directly kill Longao. If it was just these people, Longao would not be afraid. However, there were heavenly saints, saint kings, saint sovereigns, and even saint emperors. Although there were no saint emperors and above, Longao could clearly sense their existence. Therefore, Longao did not choose to meet force with force. With a spatial teleportation, his body disappeared without a trace. Where did he go? Looking at the figure that disappeared into thin air, everyone's expression changed. The Thousand Arms Azura and Tian Yu's faces were very ugly. They naturally knew what it meant for the other party to suddenly disappear. Could it be that this person was a hidden expert? Impossible. They had just sensed that this person was only an Earth Saint. Chapter 660. Many people didn't know where Longao had gone. At this time, the restrictions suddenly disappeared. There were only 5 keys to the Secret Realm Peak. No one cared about Longao as they rushed towards the Secret Realm Peak as fast as they could. The Thousand Arms Azura and Tian Feng were no exception. But at this time, 2 terrifying blade lights arrived. The surrounding space seemed to roar, as if it wanted to devour the two. As Saint Kings, the two of them were strong. Because of this, the two of them never imagined that a puny Earth Saint cultivator would dare to sneak attack them. He was simply courting death. The Thousand Arms Azura and Tian Feng jumped in fright and hastily dodged. But even so, the dozens of people around them were swallowed by the blade lights. Seeing this, the two of them were furious. What kind of joke was this? Whether it was Azura Island or Sky Universe Island, they were both superpowers in the outer sea. Aside from the mythical island, the 2 islands could dominate the outer sea. Because of this, no one had ever dared to be so arrogant, slaughtering the disciples of the 2 islands in broad daylight. They didn't place Azura Island and Sky Space Island in their eyes at all. This was simply unbearable. Their chrysanthemums could endure, but their secret caves couldn't. "Brat, you're courting death." The two of them were enraged to the extreme. With a roar, the two of them gave the order to hunt down Longao. They even threw the matter of the keys to the back of their minds. In truth, the main forces fighting for the keys on the Secret Realm Peak were Saint Kings, Saint Venerables, Saint Emperors, and even Saint Kings were just cannon fodder. This was why the Thousand Arms Azura and Tian Feng were so fearless. Longao sneered. He wasn't afraid of anyone. The blade lights had devoured dozens of people, and 95% of them were disciples of Azura Island and Sky Universe Island. Longao was clear that by killing dozens of people, he had thoroughly angered the people of the two islands. If he was careless, he would be besieged by countless disciples of the two islands. Although Longao was confident in his own strength, he knew that a wise man knew better than to fight when the odds were against him. Firstly, as the saying goes, 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. No matter how strong you are, you will never be able to withstand so many people taking turns to fight you and swarming you. Secondly, Longao was well aware that whether it was Azura Island or Sky Universe Island, it wasn't just Saint Kings that came. Even Saint Emperors weren't lacking. If he provoked Saint Sovereigns, or Saint Emperors, then it would be even more troublesome. Third, he had come here for the key, so that he could enter the mysterious realm of the Divine Island and get what the marvelous diviner wanted. Then, he could start cultivating. If he couldn't get the key because of this, wouldn't he lose more than he gained? Because of this, Longao did not fight with the disciples of the two islands. Instead, he chose to go to the Mystic Realm Peak. After 3 consecutive teleportations, Longao appeared at the foot of the Mystery Mountain. Before anyone could figure out what had happened, Longao's figure disappeared from the Mystery Mountain. What exactly happened? Looking at the target that had suddenly disappeared, everyone was completely dumbfounded and stood rooted to the ground. The first to react were the 1,000 Hands Azura and Tianfeng. Even so, they couldn't help but feel their hearts skip a beat. The two of them were still certain that their opponent was only a puny Earth Saint. However, they didn't know what kind of martial skill he had cultivated that allowed him to disappear into thin air. Just based on this point, it seemed impossible for them to kill him. Saint Kings, as Saint Kings, were unable to kill a puny Earth Saint. If this matter were to spread, where would their face go? After entering the Mystic Realm Peak, Longao was constantly in a state of vigilance. This was because Longao didn't know how many experts had come from Azura Island and Sky Universe Island. After all, he didn't belong to any of the two islands. Once he entered the Mystic Realm Peak, life and death would be up to fate. In order to compete for the 5 spots, he believed that everyone would fight with their lives on the line, even if they came from the same island. For the sake of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, they would still make a move at the last moment. In front of benefits, everything was nonsense. As expected, looking at the sudden appearance of so many figures, Longao's heart skipped a beat. Everyone from Sky Universe Island and Azura Island attacked as soon as they saw each other. They didn't care about anything and went all out. Even Saint Emperors, Saint Venerables, and Saint Emperors would die if they weren't careful. Longao was extremely happy in his heart because he was just following behind everyone's buttocks to take advantage of them. No matter who died, as long as they died, Longao would immediately send them into the Dragon Seal space along with their souls. What are you doing? You're courting death. Perhaps because he was too excited, Longao only cared about taking advantage of the situation and forgot to hide himself. In the end, he was discovered. Saint Emperors. Longao didn't dare to be careless as he knew that with his current strength, he was no match for Saint Emperors. With spatial teleportation, Longao could ignore all illusionary divine stage martial artists, including Saint Emperors. This was the so-called spatial teleportation, a heaven-defying existence. However, very quickly, all the martial artists from Sky Universe Island and Azura Island knew of one thing. There was a mysterious person from an unknown island who specialized in taking advantage of the situation and even attacked the disciples of the two islands. How could such a situation happen? Many people didn't believe it, as no one would have thought that in the outer sea, there would be disciples from other islands who would be so blind as to kill the people from the two islands. They were simply courting death. However, the key was right in front of them. Even though they knew that someone was provoking them, the experts from Sky Universe Island and Azura Island still didn't care and went all out to fight for the so-called key. Longao didn't immediately attack because he knew that at the beginning, the experts would go all out. If he attacked now, he would be courting death. Thus, Longao chose to deal with 2 people first. One was Azura Island's 1,000 Hands Azura, and the other was Sky Universe Island's Tianfeng. Both of them were intermediate Saint Kings and could be considered experts among experts. Brat, why aren't you running anymore? I'm very curious. Why did you suddenly disappear? If you tell us the secret, we can let you live. How about it? No matter if it was Tianfeng or Thousand Hands Azura, both of them were greedy because Lin Fan had suddenly disappeared. This was something that they couldn't do. They believed that even great emperors wouldn't be able to do it. It would be a lie to say that they didn't want it. Under absolute temptation, enemies could become friends temporarily. Thus, Tianfeng and Thousand Hands Azura became friends temporarily, and both of them wanted to know the so-called secret. How could Longao not know what the two of them were thinking? He sneered in his heart and said, "If you want it, I will only tell one person. However, there are two of you. As long as there is a victor, I will tell him the secret. Otherwise, you won't be able to catch me." Chapter 661. Hearing each other's words, the two of them cursed in their hearts. As for Longao's intentions, how could the Thousand Arms Azura and Skypeak not know? Their complexions instantly became ugly. "Brat, although Sky Universe Island isn't much, your evil plan won't succeed. Hand it over and I can spare your life." "Thousand Arms Azura, who do you think you are? I can clearly tell you that in front of me, you are less than dog shit." Tit for tat. Azura Island and Sky Universe Island were originally at odds with each other. They had already reached a situation where either one of them died or the other died. The two of them clearly knew that the other side was deliberately trying to drive a wedge between them, wanting them to kill each other and then reap the benefits. But they still couldn't hold themselves back. With swords drawn, the two of them were about to fight. But at this time, whether it was the two of them or Longao, their complexions changed. Then, everyone felt as if their bodies couldn't move. The strength of Source. Longao could clearly feel that this strength covering his body was the strength of Source he had just obtained several months ago. In other words, it was the strongest strength in the world. According to the divine mathematician, if one wanted to step onto the peak of martial arts, they had to fuse with the strength of Source. Otherwise, no matter what their talent was or what their potential was, it was impossible for them to step onto the peak of martial arts. But the strength of Source was already controlled by the heavenly Tao. Besides the divine mathematician, no one could obtain it. In other words, unless one had the help of the divine mathematician, there was no third person in this world that could step onto the peak of martial arts and become a peak martial artist. As for why the heavenly Tao wanted to cover everyone, others might not know the reason, but how could Longao not know? It seemed that the heavenly Tao hadn't given up on searching for the Chaos Tablets. But thinking about it, this made sense. No matter what, the Chaos Tablets were the strongest existences in the world. Once the heavenly Tao obtained the Chaos Tablets, it could rise to another level and even surpass the divine mathematician. If the heavenly Tao really killed the divine mathematician, then didn't that mean that from this day on, no one in this world would be able to restrict the heavenly Tao? The Thousand Arms Azura and Tianfeng had no idea what was going on. Their faces were filled with extreme shock. They didn't dare to move, nor could they move. Just like that, the three of them allowed the energy to sweep over them, constantly scanning their bodies. Longao was not a fool. Of course, he knew that the heavenly Tao was looking for him. However, the Mystic Realm Peak was currently filled with people. As long as the Chaos Stone Tablet did not appear at this time, it would not be easy for the heavenly Tao to find him. Soon, the origin energy had disappeared. It was only at this moment that Longao heaved a sigh of relief. Before he could speak or even take action, he heard a cry of surprise. Then, Tiandao's figure suddenly appeared. "May I know who Senior is? I am Azura Island's Thousand Hands Azura." Before the Thousand-Armed Azura could finish reporting, the heavenly Tao seemed to have lost its patience. With a wave of its hand, the two of them disappeared. This was the powerful strength of those at the peak of the martial way. Not to mention Earth Saints, even two Saint King martial artists were a joke in front of the heavenly Tao. Could it be that the heavenly Tao had discovered him? That was unlikely. If the heavenly Tao had discovered the Chaos Stone Tablet in his Dantian, it would not have given him any chance and would have directly erased him. Since that was the case, why was the heavenly Tao doing this? "Just who are you?" Ignoring Longao, the heavenly Tao's origin power instantly entered Longao's body and began a wanton search. The heavenly Tao's intentions were clear. In other words, the heavenly Tao was beginning to suspect Longao. It was because of this that Longao's heart skipped a beat. However, he did not dare to resist. If he resisted, wouldn't that be telling the heavenly Tao that he had the Chaos Stone tablet in his body? If that was the case, it would be a confession. Not long after, the heavenly Tao's origin power entered his dantian. Was he really going to be discovered? But what Longao never imagined was that when the heavenly Tao's origin power entered his dantian, it could not discover the Chaos Stone tablet. This was like placing a steamed bun in front of a person, but the person could not see it. As if surprised, the heavenly Tao didn't say any more nonsense and directly vanished from where he stood. At this moment, Longao finally let out a sigh of relief. Up until now, whenever the heavenly Tao appeared, he had no chance of resisting. He didn't even have the thought of resisting. Longao was well aware that in order to find the Chaos Stone tablet, the heavenly Tao would not let anyone from the outer sea go. But no matter what, he had escaped this calamity. He believed that the heavenly Tao would not come looking for him in the future. Since the heavenly Tao had left, Longao didn't hesitate. He immediately shot towards the peak of the Mystic Realm Peak. Mystic Realm Peak. Peak. At the peak of the 8 islands, a giant boulder had been set up. On top of it were 5 keys. These were the keys to open the mystic realm of the Divine Island. Along the way, the disciples of Azura Island and Sky Universe Island, as well as the disciples of the other islands, had nearly all killed each other. Originally, there were over 10,000 disciples, but now there were at most 100 disciples left. Of the remaining 100 disciples, around 30 were Saint Kings or above. From this, it could be imagined just how strong Azura Island and Sky Universe Island were. Under normal circumstances, Longao wouldn't have participated. But now, the 5 keys were placed in front of him. If he missed this opportunity, then he would miss the chance to enter the mystic realm of the Divine Island. No matter what, the purpose of entering the island this time was to find the 5 keys. So, how could Longao choose to give up so easily? Because of this, Longao directly shot out like an arrow. Earth Saint? Seeing Longao suddenly appear, everyone nearly collapsed. Many people were incomparably angry towards Longao. This was because no matter who it was, once they died, they would be taken away by this person. This was simply a provocation to Azura Island and Sky Universe Island. But at this time, no one cared about Longao. This was because they all had the same goal, and that was the keys on the boulder. As for Longao, no one placed him in their eyes. He was just a small Earth Saint. Longao was also very willing to see this situation. Over 100 people shot towards the boulder with all their strength. They were about to reach the boulder. But at this time, everyone was shocked. This was because the boulder suddenly erupted with a terrifying energy. It scattered in all directions like a sharp sword. Some people didn't react in time and were directly killed by the energy that transformed into sharp swords. Just what had happened? Everyone was stunned. This kind of thing had never happened before. Could it be that the Divine Island was behind this? That didn't seem likely. In all the Divine Island's mystic realms, this had never happened before. Since it wasn't the Divine Tao, then who could it be? They couldn't figure it out. No one could figure it out. Chapter 662. Everyone was being attacked. No one was spared, including Longao. 1/5 of the 100 people were killed in an instant. The remaining people were shocked and hurriedly retreated. A layer of black light suddenly appeared around the boulder. Everyone knew that the attack just now was the black light. It looked ordinary, but it was terrifying. The 5 keys to enter the mysterious territory of the island were right in front of them, but they couldn't get them. Everyone was anxious. No matter what, the mysterious territory of the island was only held once every 3 years. If they missed this opportunity, they would have to wait another 3 years. Therefore, no one would give up this opportunity easily. Since they couldn't get the keys for the time being, they had to deal with the others first. As a result, people started to kill each other in front of the huge rock. Everyone understood that whoever could stand at the end would get the 5 keys and enter the mysterious territory of the Divine Island. Longao wouldn't get involved. However, at this time, the Thousand Arms Azura and Tianfeng suddenly appeared and attacked Longao without warning. When enemies met, their eyes turned red. In the blink of an eye, the three of them were already fighting. They attacked back and forth, fighting to the death. Longao did not want to go head-to-head with the two of them because he knew that the two of them were genuine Saint King martial artists. Not to mention 1 against 2. Even if it was 1 against 1, he would not be a match for them. Therefore, he couldn't fight them head-on. He could only use his wits. With the help of spatial teleportation, the two of them couldn't catch up with Longao at all. They were angry and tried to provoke him, but was it effective on Longao? Thousand Arms Azura, you dare to attack me? Who do you think you are? The Thousand Arms Azura seemed to have lost his patience because he couldn't catch up with Longao. In addition, this fight for the keys had nothing to do with him. Therefore, the Thousand Arms Azura targeted Tianfeng directly. Usually, Tianfeng and the Thousand Arms Azura were the biggest enemies. Even if he couldn't get the keys, killing the others seemed to be a good reward. Without a doubt, the Thousand Arms Azura and Tianfeng fought fiercely. Longao didn't let go of such a rare opportunity. While everyone was fighting, he rushed toward the boulder. Was this person looking for death? This person must be tired of living. Looking at Longao flying towards the boulder, everyone's faces were filled with disdain and contempt. Because of the lesson from before, everyone still had lingering fear in their hearts. Therefore, in everyone's opinion, only death awaited this person who dared to barge into the boulder. When Longao was 1 meter away from the boulder's energy shield immediately began to attack. Similarly, Longao did not dare to be careless. He immediately used his self-created martial skill, Sorrow of the Heavens and Earth. His entire body was like a tornado, sweeping away everything. In an instant, Longao came to the side of the boulder. He was overjoyed. Looking at the 5 keys on the boulder, Longao picked them up without hesitation and put them into his bosom. The purpose of coming to the island this time had been completed, so Longao naturally wouldn't stay. He turned around and shot towards the other side. In a short while, he had already disappeared without a trace. Where's the key? Could it be that person just now? It must be him. Chase. Seeing that the boulder was already empty, everyone was shocked. Even an idiot could guess who had taken the 5 keys on the boulder. Although they were unwilling to believe it, the truth was right in front of their eyes. Therefore, everyone chased after Longao. They were all incomparably furious and filled with killing intent. They wanted nothing more than to immediately kill Longao and take back the 5 keys. Until now, no one could figure out how the other party had done it. It had to be known that even Saint Emperors had almost been killed by the boulder's energy shield. But now, a puny Earth Saint had actually ignored the boulder's energy shield and snatched the 5 keys. How did this person do it? Before anyone could chase after him, 4 black figures suddenly appeared in the distance. Seeing this situation, everyone's eyes turned green, because everyone knew what the 4 black figures were. When the 4 keys suddenly flew over, no one was willing to chase after Longao. Instead, they all began to fight for the so-called 4 keys. In this way, Longao smoothly left. However, Longao didn't immediately leave the island. Instead, he shot towards the 2 people. It was still the same saying. If people don't offend me, I won't offend them. If people want to offend me, I'll definitely offend them. As for why Longao threw out the 4 keys, the reason was very simple. Longao clearly knew that if he left with all the keys, he would definitely be hunted down by everyone. As the saying goes, 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. He was only one person, so the 5 keys were useless. Throwing out the 4 keys would allow him to leave smoothly. Why not? The Thousand Arms Azura and Tianfeng were fighting to the death. The battle was constantly escalating, and the victor could be decided at any time. Longao hid at the side and coldly looked at the 2 people. This time, he didn't want to provoke anyone, but the 2 of them always found him an eyesore. If it wasn't for his spatial teleportation, he believed that he would have been killed by the 2 of them. If he didn't take revenge, he wouldn't be a gentleman. If it was an ordinary person, they wouldn't dare to take revenge on the 2 saint rulers. It was simply courting death. However, Longao was like that. Even though he knew that he wasn't a match for the two saint rulers, he was still prepared to take action. No matter the price, he had to deal with the two of them. Watching the two of them fight, Longao didn't move at all. He stared at the two of them, waiting for an opportunity. The battle between the Thousand Arms Azura and Tianfeng had reached the most critical moment. It was at this moment that Longao made his move. With spatial teleportation, Longao's figure suddenly disappeared. In the next second, Longao's figure appeared in front of the two people. Following that, a dragon's roar resounded, and an illusory dragon's shadow appeared behind him. The dragon's roar resounded. The Thousand Arms Azura and Tianfeng, who were in the middle of the battle, didn't know what was happening. They looked at Longao in shock, especially the illusory dragon's shadow behind Longao. Before the two of them could react, they were shocked to find that their bodies had been locked on. Not only that, the two of them found that the flow of space around them had changed and started to flow in reverse. If they hadn't experienced it personally, they wouldn't have believed it even if they were beaten to death. Of course, Longao wouldn't let go of such a rare opportunity. Under normal circumstances, even if Longao used his innate ability, Dragon's Roar, it would be difficult for him to kill the two of them. However, the two of them were clearly caught off guard. In this way, the two of them had lost their last chance. Bloodthirsty Blade. Longao used his full strength and fiercely slashed at the two of them. A terrifying blade light shot out, and without any surprise, the two of them were directly swallowed by the terrifying blade light. Two saint rulers were instantly killed by an earth saint. If this matter were to spread, no one would believe it. Chapter 663. After successfully killing two people, Longao didn't stay any longer. After successfully obtaining the key, Longao left the island and rushed to the mythical island as fast as he could. Outer Sea, Mythical Island. As the most powerful force in the Outer Sea, the mythical island was not only powerful, but also the most mysterious existence. The mythical island was very strict. Ordinary people couldn't enter the mythical island at all. However, the prestige of the mythical island was there. No matter who it was, even the top 10 islands didn't dare to provoke the mythical island. After 3 days of fighting, the 40 keys of the 8 islands were all taken away. Without a doubt, almost all the disciples of the top 10 islands had obtained the keys. It was just a matter of who got the most. With the key, Longao smoothly entered the mythical island. As soon as he stepped into the mythical island, Longao's heart thumped. He was slightly surprised because the heaven and earth spirit chi on the mythical island was very dense. It was twice as strong as the outside world. Please show me the key in your hand. Longao gave the key to the mythical island emissary. Then, he followed the emissary to the mythical island's secret territory. A total of 100 people, 100 places. Tomorrow morning, all 100 people would enter the mythical island's secret territory. As for how many of them would come out alive, it was unknown. Longao was very unhappy because after being brought here by the emissary, he seemed to have become a stepmother. No one stood out to ask him, and no one greeted him. Longao was very clear that the mythical island treated him well because of his identity. Although the mythical island had a clear rule that as long as one was from the outer sea, one could enter the mythical island's secret territory. However, as time passed, almost all the disciples of the top 10 islands would enter. As for the people of the other islands, wanting to enter the mythical island's secret territory was simply a pipe dream. In this year's mythical island's secret territory, Longao was an anomaly. He didn't belong to the top 10 islands, so he didn't get the treatment he deserved. Damn, he's not a disciple of the top 10 islands. So disgusting. I heard that this person fought against the Azura Island and Tianyu Island and got a key. It seems he's not simple. That's enough. So what if he's not simple? He's just a puny earth saint. I can pinch him to death with my fingers. It's simply shameful to enter the divine island's secret realm with such a person. The 100 people were all arranged to stay in one place by the divine Tao. In any case, among the 100 people, no less than 40 people came from the 10 major islands. What if they took the opportunity to explore the divine island? The situation was very simple. The people of the 10 islands and the mythical island were standing in their own territories. Only Longao was standing alone on one side, which made him stand out from the crowd. If Longao was a sage emperor or a sacred ground, no one would mock him. However, the problem now was that Longao was only an earth saint, and these people did not take him seriously at all. Just as someone had said earlier, in their opinion, they could easily destroy him with a flick of their finger. "Your name is Longao?" Everyone's complexion changed when they saw the sudden appearance of the old man. However, the disciples of the God's Island were overjoyed. They saluted respectfully and said, "Disciple pays respect to elder." The elder of the God's Island was also a divine Tao warrior. Whether it was status or strength, he was a lofty existence on the God's Island. Yi Wuling, a nihility god warrior. Yi Wuling's sudden appearance made everyone a little confused. Because every time the divine island's secret realm opened, it was already very good to have a nihility god protector appear to entertain the guests, not to mention a divine Tao warrior had personally come. Nodding his head, although Longao did not know why this deity path martial artist suddenly descended, he still nodded his head and replied, "Precisely. I wonder who you are." "This is our divine island's elder, Yi Wuling, Elder Yi." Elder Yi. Waving his hand, Yi Wuling's complexion did not look good, as if someone owed him millions. He went straight to the point and said, "Longao, you're not from the 10 major islands. I want to ask you, where are you from?" Cloud Island's Long family. Longao had already guessed that the God's Island would certainly ask him this. In this divine island's secret realm, among more than 100 people, only he came from the other islands. As for the remaining 99 people, 60 of them came from the God's Island, and 39 of them came from the 10 major islands. It was conceivable that the God's Island would certainly ask him about his identity. Longao, of course, would not reveal his true identity. He could only rely on the Cloud Island's Long family. The Cloud Island, in the vast sea, was just an inconspicuous island. He believed that the 10 major islands, including the divine Tao warriors, certainly had never heard of the Cloud Island. If so, there should be no problem. Sure enough, hearing the 2 words Cloud Island, Yi Wuling obviously did not know. He glanced at the God's Island disciple next to him. His meaning was very simple, which was to ask what the Cloud Island was. Very sensible, this God's Island disciple suddenly got close to Yi Wuling's ear and whispered something. After a while, Yi Wuling nodded and said, "Very good. You were able to get the key from the 10 major islands. I admire you very much. But Longao, the God's Island now has a matter to trouble you. I hope you can agree." "Please say." Without knowing why, after listening to Yi Wuling's words, Longao had a bad premonition in his heart. It seemed that the God's Island was planning something. "Longao, this time, the 60 spots of the God's Island have all been reserved, but we missed one person. Therefore, we want you to give up your spot to enter the secret territory of the God's Island. As for the compensation, we will make you very satisfied." So it was this matter. After listening to Yi Wuling's words, Longao's face instantly became gloomy and ugly. Yi Wuling's meaning was very clear. That was, he wanted to deprive his spot. On the surface, it was to compensate him, but it was coercive. After all, the God's Island was overbearing. How could he refuse? Everyone looked at Longao and Yi Wuling with great interest. Everyone wanted to see what choice Longao would make. Would he choose to persist? Or would he choose to give up? It should be known that the secret territory of the God's Island was only held once every 3 years. Once he missed this opportunity, whether he could enter the secret territory next time was still the biggest unknown. What's more, any compensation could not make up for the quota of the God's Island's secret territory. This was too much. Longao was not a fool. In his heart, he was very clear that the God's Island had sent a supreme Tao warrior to personally explain to him, not because they valued him, but because they wanted to show the other 10 islands. The God's Island did not want to be accused of bullying the other islands. In any case, the God's Island had made a rule that no matter who it was, as long as they were from the outer seas, they could enter the secret territory of the God's Island. If they forcibly deprived Longao of his spot, they would certainly be criticized. Longao knew the intentions of Yi Wuling and the God's Island, and the people of the other 10 islands also knew. While they despised the God's Island, they also despised and sympathized with Longao. But this was the reality. P.S. Many people have asked why he had updated 3 chapters in the past few days. Little Jew only has one explanation. He was tired and rested for a few days. Starting tomorrow, he will restore 5 chapters. Then, on the 16th, he will explode. If you have tickets, please send a few. If you are willing to support, please tip 1 yuan. Little Jew is very grateful. Chapter 664. In the Sky Martial Continent, martial arts were respected. Whether it was in the 9 continents or the outer sea, it was a world of cannibalism. If you had the strength, you could be a grandfather, but if you didn't have the strength, you could only be a grandson. This was the reality. In the outer sea, the mythical island was the top existence. It could be said that in the outer sea, the mythical island dared to say 1, but no one dared to say 2. In the eyes of outsiders, since the mythical island had spoken, would Longao dare to refuse? Longao's face was very ugly. He cursed the 18 generations of ancestors of the mythical island in his heart. This was using the mythical island's strength to forcibly suppress him and force him to withdraw from the mythical island's secret territory. If it was in the 9 continents, Longao certainly wouldn't choose to withdraw. But now, if he didn't withdraw, would he be able to leave the mythical island alive? You don't want to? Yi Wuling looked at Longao with interest. Not to mention the mythical island, he alone could easily destroy the other party. Therefore, Yi Wuling didn't worry about whether the other party would agree or not. Serves him right. He overestimated himself and dared to enter the mythical island's secret territory. He really doesn't know life from death. In the eyes of outsiders, Longao wasn't a disciple of the 10 Great Islands. It was impossible for him to enter the mythical island's secret territory. Because of this, the mythical island wanted to deprive Longao of his quota. One by one, they looked at Longao with ridicule. Their faces were full of contempt and disdain. I want to ask, what kind of compensation is the mythical island prepared to give me? Regarding Longao's compromise, no one was surprised. After all, the mythical island's strength was there. How could a small Longao dare to challenge the mythical island? Because of this, no one despised Longao. It seemed to be a matter of course. Yi Wuling snorted in his heart. Trash was trash. He was too lazy to even say it. However, in order to show the other 10 Great Islands, Yi Wuling could only endure. You can stay on the mythical island and cultivate for a month. When the mythical island's secret territory ends, you can leave. F***CK. Your grandpa. Trash mythical island. Longao thought that the divine island would give him some kind of compensation, but it turned out that it was just to let him stay on the divine island to cultivate. He had seen shameless people, but he had never seen such shameless people. He obviously knew that the divine island was bullying him, but Longao didn't have the slightest way to deal with it. Who let the strength of the divine island be placed there? Nodding his head, Longao didn't say anything else. Yi Wuling, on the other hand, gave him a disdainful look before turning around and disappearing. Although Longao's quota had already been taken away, he could still continue to stay on the God's Island. Longao also didn't leave. He stayed on the island and prepared to cultivate properly. However, Longao discovered that even though Yi Wuling had already left, there was still an endless stream of ridicule and disdain from all around. Regarding the meaning of these people, Longao naturally knew clearly. However, Longao did not say anything. He ignored everyone around him and quietly found a secluded place to begin his cultivation. Azura Island and Brother Tianyu coldly looked at Longao. The 2 mythical islands had decided that when this person left the mythical island, they must find a way to kill him. Inside the dragon seal space. Master, do you really want to give up on entering the mythical island's secret territory? I can tell you clearly that there is something very important to you in the mythical island's secret territory. If you give it up in vain. Although Long Fu didn't finish his words, the meaning of his words was very clear. Longao's mouth evoked a meaningful smile and said, "The mythical island's strength is there. If I don't compromise, whether I can leave the mythical island or not is a problem." Then, I will really lose the opportunity to enter the mythical island's secret territory. Master, what do you mean? Longao mysteriously smiled and didn't continue. According to the opening time of the mythical island's secret territory, it would open tomorrow morning. Therefore, tonight, everyone would cultivate with all their strength and prepare to enter the mythical island's secret territory tomorrow. On the mythical island, the dark night was very quiet. More than 100 people were cultivating. Longao quietly sat on the ground. He didn't cultivate, nor did he comprehend the primal chaos stone tablet. He didn't comprehend the Tao of divination. At this moment, Longao was fully focused on comprehending the so-called 5 elements heaven-swallowing art. The 5 elements heaven-swallowing art had 5 major arts. They were the metal element art, wood element art, water element art, fire element art, and earth element art. Among the 5 elements arts, Longao's first choice was the earth element art. The reason was very simple. Among the 5 elements heaven-swallowing art, only the earth element art could be cultivated at any time. This was because the earth element art could allow one to comprehend the power of the earth element. Longao once thought that since he had comprehended the 5 elements heaven-swallowing art, wouldn't the primal chaos stone tablet be useless? However, according to what Long Fu and the primordial divine dragon had said, although the primal chaos stone tablet itself was very powerful, the martial skills and cultivation methods that it contained were the most important. Even so, Longao didn't plan on abandoning the primal chaos stone tablet. After all, the primal chaos stone tablet wasn't under his control. The 5 elements heaven-swallowing art was the most powerful cultivation method and martial skill in the world. Even Longao would find it very difficult to comprehend it. Unknowingly, the sky had already begun to brighten. At this moment, Yu Wuling suddenly appeared. He looked at the 100 people in front of him and said, "All of you, follow me." Yu Wuling had long forgotten about Longao. Therefore, from beginning to end, he didn't even look at him. In fact, Longao was already gone. As for where he went, no one knew because at this time, everyone was conserving their strength and preparing to enter the mythical island's secret realm. Who would have the mind to care about a piece of trash? In this way, everyone followed Yu Wuling and left. After a short while, everyone had already arrived at a huge valley. In front of them was a spatial stone door. The mythical island's secret realm would automatically open every 3 years for a day. Each time, a total of 100 people could enter. Once this number was exceeded, all the 100 people who entered would be obliterated and unable to leave the mythical island's secret realm. Because of this, every time the mythical island's secret realm opened, the mythical island would strictly limit the number of people who could enter. Therefore, except for the first few sessions of the mythical island's secret realm, there were no more incidents after that. Everyone, listen carefully. You only have 1 month to enter the mythical island's secret realm. After 1 month, I will be here to guide you out. If you exceed 1 month, you will be responsible for the consequences. After thinking about it, Yu Wuling continued, if you exceed the time limit and are unable to leave the mythical island's secret realm, you will be obliterated by the mythical island's secret realm. Now, enter. More than 100 people were eager to try. One by one, they filed in. Everyone looked incomparably excited. After all, this was an opportunity that only came once every 3 years. If they missed it, they were afraid that they would lose it for the rest of their lives. 90 people had already entered. When only 10 people were left, a figure suddenly appeared in front of the spatial stone door. It was none other than Longao. Chapter 665. Longao suddenly appeared. Without hesitation, Longao had already decided that no matter what happened this time, he would enter the mysterious territory of the Divine Island. The remaining 10 people were all disciples of the Divine Island. Longao's sudden appearance with the help of spatial teleportation scared everyone, including Yu Wuling. The blade light directly enveloped one of the Saint Emperors. Under normal circumstances, it was basically impossible for Longao to kill a Saint Emperor in a head-on battle. But at this time, no one would have thought that someone would dare to come to the Divine Island, especially in front of the mysterious territory of the Divine Island. He was simply courting death. After killing a Saint Emperor with 1 blade, Longao directly entered the spatial stone door and disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Seeing that Longao had disappeared, everyone was completely dumbfounded. No one thought that Longao would dare to do this. Elder, Pa, without waiting for the Divine Island's disciple to speak, Yi Wuling directly slapped him. Yi Wuling's face was gloomy to the extreme, as unsightly as it could be because Longao directly killed a Saint Emperor's disciple under his nose and entered the mysterious territory of the Divine Island. If so, where would his face go? Where would the Divine Island's face go? Not to mention that Longao had entered the mysterious territory of the Divine Island. The Divine Island had lost a spot. The Divine Island could not afford to lose face. Simply courting death, the Divine Island had made the biggest mistake due to carelessness. Yi Wuling clearly knew that he had to bear a lot of responsibility for Longao's sudden appearance. He would not be able to explain it to the Divine Island later. Yi Tian, Yi Ming, do you know what to do? At this time, among the remaining 9 people, 2 stood out. They were Yi Tian and Yi Ming, who Yi Wuling had mentioned. The 2 of them were the most outstanding and talented disciples of the Divine Island. Both of them were Saint Emperors. They were also the strongest people entering the Divine Island's secret territory. Therefore, Yi Wuling's intention was very simple. He wanted the 2 of them to enter the Divine Island's secret territory and kill Longao. Elder, we know what to do. No matter what happens, you have to bring back Longao's head.
Yes.
After saying this, Yi Tian and Yi Ming led the remaining 9 people into the mysterious territory of the mythical island. Who is this kid? Looking at the middle-aged man who suddenly appeared, Yi Wuling shuddered. He immediately bowed respectfully and said, Island Master, this man is Longao, from the Long family of the Cloud Island. Then, Yi Wuling told the story of Longao in detail. He didn't hide anything from the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man was none other than the island lord of the mystic island, Yi Nantian. Not only was he a supreme Tao warrior, but he was also a divine realm warrior. Rumor had it that the island lord of the mystic island, Yi Nantian, was the strongest warrior in the external endless sea, but no one knew if it was true or not. After listening to the story, Yi Nantian nodded and said coldly, if he was a disciple of the Long family, maybe I would be afraid. But the Long family of the Cloud Island will be destroyed directly. Island Master, I have just sent Yi Tian and Yi Ming into the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island to kill this kid. I believe he will die for sure. Yi Nantian was very clear about the strength of Yi Tian and Yi Ming. He nodded and said, come with me. I have something to tell you. Yes, Island Master. The mysterious territory of the Mystic Island had been closed. It would be opened 1 month later. Every time the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island opened, it would be smooth sailing. But this time, the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island was peaceful. Suddenly, a reckless Longao appeared in the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island. He was just a little Earth Saint, but he sneakily killed a Saint King and entered the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island. In everyone's eyes, Longao's actions were completely provocative. He was provoking the Mystic Island, the #1 power in the external endless sea. In an instant, Longao became famous in the external endless sea. Everyone was searching for Longao's identity. Not long after, Longao's identity was revealed. He was a member of the Long family of the Cloud Island, and he was not a disciple of the top 10 islands. Because of this, everyone couldn't understand why Longao would do this. Could it be that Longao was really confident in fighting against the entire Mystic Island? Even if Longao entered the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island, would he not come out? It should be known that the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island had always been on the Mystic Island. If Longao came out, it would be impossible for him to leave the Mystic Island alive. Therefore, in the eyes of outsiders, Longao would definitely die for provoking the Mystic Island this time. In the external endless sea, the Mystic Island, the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island, Longao entered the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island smoothly, which was beyond everyone's expectations. Longao had decided to do this last night. According to Longao's character, it was impossible for him to hand over the quota to enter the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island for nothing. He had worked so hard to get the key. Why would he give it to the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island for nothing? However, Longao was not a fool. Of course, he knew that with his strength, it was impossible to fight against the Mystic Island. He could only endure for the time being. As a result, Longao chose to completely break off his relationship with the Mystic Island. As for whether he would be attacked by the Mystic Island after a month, that was a matter for the future. Anyway, he had decided to enter the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island. The mysterious territory of the Mystic Island was another world. It was no different from the Nine Nether Space. As for whether the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island was an independent existence or a part of the mainland, it was unknown. There was a dense forest, a huge mountain peak, a sun, and white clouds. If it weren't for the space stone door, everyone would think that this place was the outside world, not the so-called mysterious territory of the Mystic Island. Longao had a feeling that he had returned to the 9 continents. As soon as he landed, Longao immediately used the space teleportation and disappeared. Then, Yi Tian and Yi Ming appeared. However, the people who had entered the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island before didn't know what had happened. It was not easy to enter the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island. Everyone was still in a state of excitement. At first, they didn't care about Longao. As soon as Yi Tian and Yi Ming entered, they immediately gathered all the disciples of the Mystic Island and informed the disciples of the 10 major islands. A total of 99 people were to chase after Longao. The meaning of Yi Tian and Yi Ming was very simple. Anyone who could kill Longao would receive a great reward from the Mystic Island. As the saying goes, when there is a great reward, there will be brave men. Not to mention, the Mystic Island had spoken. The 10 major islands would certainly give the Mystic Island face. When everyone knew about Longao's matter, they were all shocked. They had seen arrogant people, but they had never seen such an arrogant person. He was simply arrogant to the extreme. He didn't even put the Mystic Island in his eyes. Longao's action was already a provocation to the Mystic Island. Because of this, no one could understand. Even though Longao had entered the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island and wanted to leave, no one despised him. Instead, they admired him. This was because such an action was not something that everyone could do. They asked themselves, could they do it? P.S. The remaining 3 chapters will be delivered later. Chapter 666. Yi Tian and Yi Ming split up to search. According to the marvelous mathematician, as long as he could find one thing in the mysterious realm of the Divine Island, he would complete the task. Longao was very depressed about the 3 trials set up by the marvelous mathematician. The first trial of the 3 trials, the mysterious territory of the Divine Island, was already full of difficulties. It was hard to imagine what the next 2 trials would be like. Longao was not surprised at all. No matter what, the clairvoyant master's divination was peerless. He believed that the clairvoyant master had already calculated the things in the Mystic Island's secret realm. Because of this, Longao entered the Mystic Island's secret realm and directly flew towards the east. His speed was very fast. Even so, Longao was still intercepted by Yi Tian. Inside the Mystic Island's secret realm, Longao, today I'm going to tear you into pieces. The Mystic Island sent a total of 12 Saint Emperors to enter the Mystic Island's secret realm. Among them, Yi Tian and Yi Ming were peak Saint Emperors. The rest were all Saint Emperors. One could imagine how powerful the Mystic Island was. Yi Tian led 5 Saint Emperors and 10 Saint Emperors to intercept Longao. Not to mention 15 people. Even if any one of them casually came out, they could easily defeat Longao. Longao was clear about this, and so were the 15 people. Longao was very dignified, but he was not afraid because he could teleport. Even if he could not fight them head-on, at least he could run. He believed that none of the 15 people could catch up with him. Seeing Longao motionless, the 15 people's faces were full of contempt and disdain. Everyone thought that Longao was scared out of his wits. 5 Saint Emperors and 10 Saint Emperors. No matter where they were, such strength could not be underestimated. Longao. Before Yi Tian finished speaking, Longao had already taken the initiative. At the same time, An illusory dragon shadow suddenly appeared behind him. The other party took the initiative to attack first. The 15 of them had never thought that Longao would suddenly attack. In their carelessness, they were shocked to find that their bodies had been locked down, and the space around them had even started to flow backwards. Just what was going on? If it were an ordinary person, it would be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for them to temporarily control 15 people. After all, Longao's spatial teleportation was right there. Once he used spatial teleportation, even under normal circumstances, the 15 of them might not be able to catch up with Longao, let alone now. However, Longao wasn't an ordinary person. He managed to temporarily lock onto 15 people, but Longao didn't leave. Instead, he charged forward. Blood-sucking wild blade. Longao had directly used the blood-sucking saber art for this attack. Moreover, it was one strike after another. This kind of power was like a monstrous wave. As it continued to stack, the power would also increase. The blood-sucking saber art had a total of 8 moves. The first move was Yellow Spring's 9 consecutive strikes. The second move was Heart-Devouring Ice. The third move was Raging Flame Sea. The fourth move was World Extinguishing Blade Light. The fifth move was Myriad Bones Devouring Soul. The sixth move was Meteor Explosion. The seventh move was Tearing Heaven and Earth. The 8 moves of blood-sucking Wild Blade instantly overlapped and merged into the final move. This was the so-called Devouring Heaven. The blade light slashed out as if it could devour everything. The 15 of them were completely terrified. They had never imagined that not only could their opponent lock onto them, but that this attack had already surpassed their understanding. The 15 of them weren't fools. They naturally knew how terrifying this attack was. Once they were devoured, there was only one result. They would die without a burial ground. If they were alone, they definitely wouldn't be able to block this attack. However, the problem right now was that 15 powerful cultivators, 5 Saint Emperors and 10 Saint Kings, had worked together to break through the lock and break the flow of time in the surroundings. However, even with that being the case, the 15 of them were still forced to scatter in all directions. They didn't dare to fight force with force. 15 super powerful martial artists were actually scared off by an Earth Sage. If this matter were to spread out, no one would believe it. The space was forcibly torn apart. The terrifying spatial crack seemed to be able to devour everything. The 15 of them were so frightened that they swallowed their saliva. When the spatial crack disappeared, the 15 of them realized that there was still someone they hadn't dealt with yet. However, when they wanted to continue looking for Longao, they discovered that he had already disappeared. They had no idea where he went. Not long after, Yi Ming and the others rushed over. Seeing Yi Tian's gloomy face, Yi Ming asked impatiently, "Where is he?" Shaking his head, Yi Tian still couldn't believe everything that had just happened. They were almost killed by a mere Earth Sage. Was this true? Yi Tian didn't hide anything and told them everything. After hearing it, Yi Ming and the others were shocked. It seems that this person isn't simple. However, as far as I know, the Cloud Island's Long family is only a rank 4 Long family. It's impossible for anyone to awaken their innate ability. Not only Yi Ming, but even Yi Tian had already guessed that the innate ability Longao used was the rumored Long family's innate ability. Of course, the two of them knew what innate ability meant. Long family was divided into 9 ranks. According to legends, only rank 3 Long family's disciples could enter the Dragon Valley to find their dragon companions and become a dragon martial artist. Only by becoming a dragon martial artist could they have the opportunity to enter the Long family's ancestral hall. Once they awakened their bloodline, they would have the innate ability. The two of them clearly knew the power of the innate ability. Then what should we do now? Let's put this person aside first. For so many years, our God's Island has been looking for that thing, but we haven't been able to find it. This time, the Island Master has given us a death order. No matter what, we have to find it. Otherwise, we will all be in big trouble. Nodding his head, Yi Tian was still somewhat unwilling and asked, "Are we going to let this person go?" He was almost killed by this person. If he couldn't kill this person, Yi Tian was very clear that this matter would become a demon in his heart. It would be a great hindrance to his future cultivation. Because of this, Yi Tian kept telling himself that no matter what happened, this person must die. Yi Ming sighed deeply in his heart. How could he not know what Yi Tian was thinking? However, they didn't dare to disobey the island master's order. After all, they could only enter the God's Island's secret realm every 3 years. If they missed it, they would have to wait for the next opening of the God's Island's secret realm. Yi Tian, I know you are unwilling, but, waving his hand, Yi Tian seemed to have made a decision. With a firm expression, he said, Yi Ming, let's split into 2. You take everyone to find the thing that the island master is looking for, and I will kill this person. If I don't kill this person, I swear that I am not a human. I don't believe that a little earth saint can make any big waves. Chapter 667. Yi Tian. If the island lord finds out about this, we will all be in trouble. Will you keep this a secret? Yi Tian's body emitted a powerful murderous aura. It seemed like Yi Tian really wanted to kill them. As the most outstanding disciple of the divine island, when had Yi Tian suffered such humiliation? He was almost killed by an earth saint. If this matter was spread out, where would his face go? Everyone shuddered. Of course, no one would choose to provoke Yi Tian at this time. We swear to keep this a secret. Yi Ming, it's fine now. Since things had already reached this point, Yi Ming knew that he had no other choice. After all, Yi Tian had already made his decision. Among the 2 strongest people who entered the divine island's secret realm, besides him, the other was Yi Tian. In other words, neither of them could control the other. Therefore, since Yi Tian had already made his decision, he couldn't say anything. Yi Ming understood Yi Tian's character very well. If he continued to stop him, Yi Ming could imagine that Yi Tian would definitely fall out with him. Then be careful. Ha ha ha. Me, be careful? Yi Ming, you overestimate Longao. The more Yi Ming acted like this, the angrier Yi Tian became. His murderous aura surged because in Yi Tian's opinion, Yi Ming was obviously mocking him. He was almost killed by an earth saint. No matter what kind of trump card the other party had, this shouldn't have happened. Senior brother, Longao's strength is indeed very strong. Although he is only an earth saint, I have never seen his innate ability before. If senior brother Yi Tian goes, I will be worried. Yi Ming waved his hand. How could he not know what his junior brother was talking about? Yi Ming's expression was also extremely ugly because he and Yi Tian were cousins. If something happened to Yi Tian, he would definitely be the first to disagree. In any case, Yi Tian's strength is there. We don't have many chances. The island master has already given a death order. This time, we must find that thing. So, we will go and find it first. 1 month later, Longao will die. Longao was somewhat unreconciled that he didn't succeed in killing 15 people. After all, the opportunity just now was extremely rare. It was almost impossible to have a second chance. He didn't continue to dwell on this issue. The main purpose of entering the mysterious territory of the mythical island this time was to find his target. As for the mythical island, he would think about it later. According to the marvelous mathematician, this treasure was hidden in a nameless valley in the center of the mysterious territory of the divine island. Because of this, Longao shot toward the center of the mysterious realm of the divine island with all his strength. Yi Ming and Yi Tian didn't know the real purpose of Longao entering the mysterious realm of the divine island. They thought that Longao was the same as the disciples of the 10 major islands. They all wanted to enter the mysterious realm of the divine island to cultivate. However, only the people of the divine island knew about the treasures in the mysterious territory of the divine island. As for the others, including the disciples of the 10 great islands, they didn't know about it. Therefore, every time the mysterious land of the divine island was opened, the disciples of the divine island would enter to search for treasures in addition to cultivating. However, the disciples of the top 10 islands were here to cultivate. However, for so many years, no matter who the divine island sent into the divine island's secret territory, they couldn't find this treasure. They couldn't even find it in this valley. Longao was very clear that if the marvelous mathematician hadn't told him, he definitely wouldn't have found it. This was the so-called Tao of divine divination. Long Ao yearned for the marvelous mathematician's Tao of divine divination very much. It was also because he had witnessed the power of the Tao of divine divination that Long Ao began to work even harder to comprehend the Tao of divine divination. He hoped that one day he would truly comprehend the Tao of divine divination. Without the slightest obstruction, Long Ao easily arrived at the nameless valley. Long Ao was very curious. According to Long Bai, the mysterious realm of the divine island was full of danger. The slightest carelessness could lead to eternal damnation. However, the problem now was that his journey here had been smooth sailing. He hadn't encountered any danger at all. The more this was the case, the more careful Long Ao became. He didn't dare to be careless in the slightest. He was on full alert and vigilant of his surroundings, ready to deal with any danger at any time. The nameless valley was shrouded in black fog. From the outside, it was impossible to tell that there was a huge valley in front of him. There was no need for him to enter. Long Ao already knew that there were no dangers in the valley. Just the air currents alone were enough to destroy him in a matter of minutes. Long Ao didn't enter rashly. Instead, he entered the dragon seal space. Long Fu, do you know what exactly is in the valley? Long Ao was very depressed. From the beginning to the end, he didn't know what he was going to obtain in the mysterious realm of the divine island. The marvelous mathematician hadn't said anything from the beginning. He had only told him to enter the mysterious realm of the divine island and find this valley to enter. The marvelous mathematician's words were very simple. Once he entered the valley, the treasure would automatically summon him. Was it really that mysterious? Long Ao could clearly sense the danger in the valley. Therefore, he wanted to ask Long Fu about it. Long Fu thought for a while and said, "Master, the marvelous mathematician's art of divination is the most powerful martial technique in the world. It is even more powerful than the 5 elements heaven-swallowing technique. Therefore, I don't have the art of divination and don't know what treasure is in there." If even Long Fu didn't know, this would be difficult. Did he really have to force his way in? He obviously knew that the valley was full of danger. Yet, he still wanted to force his way in. This was simply stupid. However, he had no choice but to enter. He had gone through so much and even offended the divine island in order to complete the 3 tests and successfully break through to the illusionary divine stage. Long Ao was very confident. As long as he could break through to the great emperor realm, he could lead the sect to fight back against the 4 great forces. More importantly, once he broke through to the great emperor realm, he could leave Tianzhou and go out to look for Yu Yin and Aoshue. All along, Aoshue and Yu Yin had been his biggest concern. Therefore, this test was extremely important to him. No matter what, he had to pass it successfully and obtain the reward. Long Fu, what is in the valley? Why can I sense danger? Master, I have already sensed it. This valley is very strange. Other than the origin energy, there is also a very strange force. If I am not mistaken, the so-called danger that you sensed should be this strange force. Long Ao was very surprised. This was because he had never thought that the valley in front of him would have the origin energy. If that was the case, why had so many people entered the secret territory of the divine island but not discovered this place? Long Ao was very solemn. Since it was a strange power that even Long Fu was afraid of, it was obvious just how terrifying this strange power was. Chapter 668. Long Fu, how should I enter? Do I have to force my way in? Force his way in. The first method that appeared in Long Ao's mind was to force his way in. But Long Ao knew very well that he had not yet figured out what the strange power was. If he rashly tried to force his way in, the success rate would not exceed 30%. Master, this strange power belongs to the dark power, and it is still the same. As long as Master can release the thunder and lightning shield, I believe you can temporarily resist this strange power. He was overjoyed. For the power of thunder and lightning, perhaps the power of thunder and lightning in his body was not enough, but he had the blood-sucking blade. But the blood-sucking blade had not only fused with the 5-clawed golden dragon, but also with the divine thunder bead. Without continuing to ask, Long Ao held the blood-sucking blade and walked into the valley step by step, slowly disappearing into the black fog. With the help of the blood-sucking blade, a thunder and lightning shield appeared around Longao's body. As Long Fu had predicted, the strange airflow also belonged to the dark power, and the power of thunder and lightning was the nemesis of the dark power. The power of thunder and lightning forcibly split open a small space, and Longao was completely safe in it. It could be said that he knew nothing about the valley. What exactly is it? According to the divine mathematician, once he entered the valley, this treasure would take the initiative to summon him. Although the divine mathematician had the divine mathematician Dao, Longao was still a bit incredulous, because he had been in the valley for a few minutes, but there was still nothing summoning him. Longao began to lose his patience, because the strange power in the valley was too strong. He could not relax at all. Once he relaxed, he would be swallowed by this strange power and die without a burial place. He was just about to go out and have a good rest, and then come in later to sense. But at this moment, Longao suddenly felt that something was wrong, and it seemed to be coming from the front. This aura was very weak, but Longao could clearly sense that this aura was summoning him. If he had not experienced it personally, he would have found it hard to believe that this kind of thing really happened. Longao even suspected that the treasures in the valley had been arranged by the oracle. In any case, Master God Diviner wouldn't have been so confident if he hadn't been 100% certain that he would succeed. But no matter what, Longao couldn't do anything about it, even though he knew that it was all part of Master Clairvoyant's plan. For some reason, Longao felt as if he were a chess piece, and Master God Diviner was the one controlling him. Simply put, whenever the God Diviner felt that he was useless, he could destroy him at any time. If that was the case, then it would be too terrifying. It was also because of this that Longao secretly told himself that no matter what, he would not become a chess piece. The only way to not become a chess piece was to grow as fast as possible and become a martialist at the peak of martial arts. Longao didn't continue to think about these things, because he knew that the first step to not becoming a chess piece was to complete the 3 trials, obtain the rewards, and become a great emperor. Longao walked slowly towards the direction that was summoning him. He was still very careful, because the valley was too strange. No one knew what would happen. As the saying went, it was better to be safe than sorry. Slowly, Longao reached the deepest part of the valley. The deeper he went, the clearer Longao felt that something was calling him. He had arrived. Longao stared at the thing in front of him, swallowing hard. He had never imagined that the thing that Master God Diviner had called out to him was not a thing at all, but a huge black dragon. It was hovering there like a mountain. Longao swallowed hard, not daring to move. At this moment, the black dragon was sleeping soundly. If he woke it up, he would have to bear the consequences. He cursed in his heart. Could it be that Master God Diviner wanted him to bring the black dragon back? If that was the case, Longao would choose to give up directly, because the aura of the black dragon was there. Without a doubt, Longao could clearly sense that the black dragon in front of him was a genuine divine beast, which was the so-called divine dragon. What the hell was Master God Diviner doing? Longao, your first trial is very simple. As long as you can take the divine dragon crown from the black dragon, you will have successfully passed the first trial. As your reward, you will receive the corresponding reward, and your cultivation will directly break through to the heavenly saint realm. It was Master God Diviner's voice. Hearing Master God Diviner's voice, Longao was startled at first. Then, Longao didn't know where Master God Diviner was. Because of this, he was 100% sure that all of this had been arranged by Master God Diviner. Longao couldn't figure out whether Master God Diviner was here or not. Before Longao could ask, Long Fu's voice was heard. Master God Diviner didn't appear. He just left his voice here in advance. There is no doubt that all of this was arranged by Master God Diviner. So, Master, I can tell you clearly that Master God Diviner is very terrifying. He is more terrifying than you can imagine. There was a hidden meaning in his words. Longao wasn't a fool. Of course, he could tell that Long Fu's words had many meanings. Was there something different about Master God Diviner? Longao didn't continue to ask, because he had always known that if Long Fu wanted to say something, he didn't need to ask. He believed that Long Fu would say it. However, if Long Fu didn't want to say more, no matter how much he asked, he believed that Long Fu wouldn't say anything. In that case, why was he so bored? No matter what Master God Diviner did, with his current strength, there was no way he could peak at the peak of martial arts. However, there was one thing that Longao was very sure of. Just as Long Fu said, Master God Diviner had left his voice in advance. There was no doubt that all of this was arranged by Master God Diviner. Dragon Crown? Longao didn't know what the Dragon Crown was. But at this time, Longao suddenly heard a message in his mind. He didn't resist. Longao knew very well that Master God Diviner had left this message in advance. There was no doubt about it. He had already guessed what the message was. It was about the Dragon Crown. Sure enough, the message from Master God Diviner was indeed about the Dragon Crown. The meaning was very simple. It was to introduce the Dragon Crown. After roughly digesting it, Long Ao's expression became more and more shocked, because he was shocked by the identity of the Divine Dragon Crown. It was simply 100 times more awesome than the Divine Dragon Pearl. As everyone knew, the Divine Dragon Pearl was something that every generation of Dragon God must have, but the Divine Dragon Crown, once possessed, could achieve supreme position. P.S. Chapter 5 has been delivered. Rest. Continue tomorrow. Chapter 669. The Dragon God Crown. Long Ao still did not know how powerful the Dragon God Crown was. However, since it was something that the clairvoyant master needed, he had to take it away regardless of whether it was dangerous. However, the black dragon in front of him was still a divine dragon. Would he be able to fight against a divine dragon? Long Ao knew very well that if a martial artist of the same level were to fight against a divine dragon, he would not be a match for the divine dragon. After all, a godly beast was born with an advantage. Furthermore, the physical defense of a divine dragon was not something that a martial artist could easily go against. Long Ao did not dare to act rashly. If he made a mistake, he would be killed by the divine dragon in an instant. What should he do? After thinking about it, Long Ao did not know what to do. The dragon tribe was famous for being able to sleep. As long as he did not make too much noise, he would not wake the divine dragon up. In other words, Long Ao was still safe for the time being. Long Ao looked left and right. Finally, he found the so-called divine dragon crown in front of the divine dragon's jaw. Although he saw it, it was not an easy thing to obtain it. Long Ao knew very well that once he woke the divine dragon up, he would not be able to escape. However, could he choose to give up? Obviously not. As such, Long Ao was prepared to take the risk. Previously, the clairvoyant master had said that once he successfully obtained the Dragon God crown, he would be able to become a heavenly sage. 8th level illusionary divine. Under normal circumstances, it was easier said than done to break through from the earth sage to the heavenly sage. It would take at least a year or even longer. However, with such an opportunity in front of him, how could Long Ao choose to give it up so easily? In the end, Long Ao could only choose to use spatial teleportation. Other than that, he could not think of any other way to snatch the Dragon God crown from the divine dragon. Without further hesitation, Long Ao knew very well that the longer he delayed, the more disadvantageous it would be for him. Spatial teleportation. Long Ao disappeared from where he was and instantly appeared in front of the divine dragon. Before the divine dragon could react, Long Ao had already grabbed the Dragon God crown. He was overjoyed. With the Dragon God crown, Long Ao knew that he had successfully passed the first stage. Although he didn't know how the oracle could help him break through to the heavenly saint realm, he knew that as the strongest person in the world, the oracle must have a way. Just as Long Ao was about to leave, he suddenly realized that the sleeping dragon had opened its terrifying eyes. The dragon's breath instantly enveloped Long Ao, and a cold voice sounded. "Shameless human, you actually dared to steal my divine dragon crown. Die." Long Ao was shocked. He was afraid of the other party and did not dare to be careless. He immediately used spatial teleportation and prepared to escape. As for whether he would be hunted down by the mystical dragon, he would see when the time came. As expected, Longao's spatial teleportation was extremely powerful. Even with the strength of the divine dragon, he couldn't lock onto the spatial teleportation. Just like that, he vanished into thin air right under the divine dragon's nose. Looking at the disappearing figure, the divine dragon was completely dumbfounded. It didn't know what had happened. However, the endless anger made the divine dragon soar directly. The dragon's shadow covered the sky and the sun. The terrifying dragon's breath spread in all directions and directly shrouded the entire divine island's secret realm. No matter who it was, they could clearly feel the existence of the dragon's breath. Yi Tian and Yi Ming, who were in different places, raised their heads at the same time. Looking at the dragon in the distance, everyone swallowed hard and their faces were full of shock. Senior brother, is this the divine dragon? Nodding his head, Yiming didn't dare to move because he could clearly feel that the divine dragon's target wasn't them. There was no need to provoke such a powerful enemy. Longao, who had left with spatial teleportation, wasn't as excited as he imagined. Because he knew that he could hide for a while, but he couldn't hide forever. Unless he could leave the divine island's secret realm and enter the outer sea, then he would be safe. Otherwise, his life would be in danger at any time. Longao didn't dare to have the slightest carelessness. After leaving the valley, he didn't walk on land or fly in the air. Instead, he chose the simplest and least likely to be discovered, which was underground. That's right, underground. Under normal circumstances, it was not easy for even an Earth Saint warrior to walk freely underground. However, Longao's situation was completely different. The netherworld tiger of the 9 nether underworld was the so-called Dragon Underworld. With the help of the power of Dragon Underworld, Longao smoothly entered the underground. Because of this, the divine dragon couldn't find Longao no matter how hard he tried. The divine dragon's face was gloomy to the extreme. As the most powerful dragon clan in the world, the so-called divine dragon crown was taken away under his nose. If this matter was spread out, where would his face go? Where would the dragon clan's face go? The divine island's secret realm was now full of danger. All the people on the divine island and the 10 islands were so scared that they hid. Until now, no one knew what had happened and why a divine dragon suddenly appeared in the divine island's secret realm. Underground. Longao sat quietly underground to comprehend the earth elemental formula. It was very simple. Longao had just stepped into the ground when he was pleasantly surprised in his heart. That was because he had discovered one thing. The so-called 5 elements heaven-swallowing art needed to have a corresponding invisible complement. This way, he could get twice the result with half the effort. Because of this, Longao did not cultivate, but wholeheartedly comprehended the earth elemental formula. The 5 elements heaven-devouring formula was divided into the metal elemental formula, the wood elemental formula, the water elemental formula, the fire elemental formula, and the earth elemental formula. Among the 5 elements heaven-devouring formula, Longao first sensed the earth elemental formula. For some reason, Longao always had a feeling that the so-called earth elemental formula was the best to sense among the 5 elements heaven-devouring formula. Metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, the reincarnation of the 5 elements. Longao's intuition told him that once he cultivated the 5 elements heaven-devouring formula and reached the so-called peak, the reincarnation of the 5 elements would be one of the most powerful forces in the world. It was easy to talk about the reincarnation of the 5 elements, but it was extremely difficult to comprehend it. Longao certainly knew this clearly. 5 elements heaven-devouring formula. Longao sat quietly underground, using the mental cultivation method of the earth elemental formula to comprehend the earth elemental force around him. He had to admit that it was much easier to comprehend the earth elemental force in this environment. However, Longao was very clear that comprehending the earth elemental force and truly comprehending the earth elemental formula were 2 different things, but it was still a good thing. In this way, Longao was comprehending the earth elemental formula underground, and the divine dragon was constantly looking for Longao in the 9 heavens. Unknowingly, a month had passed in the blink of an eye. The divine island's secret realm would only open for a month. As for missing the time and being unable to leave, there was only one result, which was death. Today was the day to leave the Divine Island's secret realm. Longao was very clear that if he did not leave today, he would have to wait for 3 more years. If he had nothing to do, cultivating here for 3 years might not be a bad thing. The problem now was that he had a lot of things to do. Not to mention 3 years, he could not even wait for a moment. However, the divine dragon was outside. Once he left the underground, he knew what the result would be. Chapter 670. After thinking for a while, Longao finally decided to leave the underground. No matter what, he had to find a way to get out of here today. As soon as Longao left the underground, he sensed a horrible dragon breath still sweeping around. There was no surprise in his heart, because Longao had already guessed that Shenron would definitely not give up. Space teleportation. Longao continuously used space teleportation and instantly appeared 100 meters away. Then, he rushed forward with all his strength. 9 days. The 300 zhang long dragon shadow swept for an entire month's time, but it still did not find any trace of Longao. Longao rushed to the exit as fast as he could. At this time, only about 30% of the 99 people who had entered the mysterious territory of the Divine Island were left. Everyone rushed to the exit. If it was an ordinary person, it would really be impossible to find Longao. But Shenron was different. Just as Ao Long arrived at the exit and was about to leave, the Divine Dragon's aura had already enveloped everyone. Yi Tian and Yi Ming saw Ao Long suddenly appear. Just as they were about to attack, they were suddenly suppressed by the Divine Dragon's aura. They were so frightened that they did not dare to move. Longao was shocked. With a backhand knife, he didn't give Shenron the slightest chance at all. He stepped into the exit and disappeared in the mysterious island. Outside the mysterious island, Yi Wuling stared at the space stone door in front of him because a month had passed. If Longao didn't die, then he would definitely come out from here. At that time, he would cut Longao into pieces. Since Longao's matter came out, the mysterious island's face was completely lost. Everyone was talking about the mysterious island. Therefore, there was only one solution now, and that was to kill Longao. Suddenly, Longao's figure appeared in the cave of the space stone door. Looking at Longao in front of him, Yi Wuling's heart was suddenly happy. Just as he was about to make a move, a terrifying dragon breath rushed over, like the waves of the sea, wave after wave, almost directly obliterating Yi Wuling. Shocked, Yi Wuling certainly knew what had happened. As expected, at this time, a 300-meter-long black dragon suddenly appeared, scaring Yi Wuling into letting out a cry. It turned out that the giant black dragon was a heavenly god. With Yi Wuling's strength, he was just a small joke in front of the giant black dragon. Longao didn't care about the mythical island, nor did he care about the weakened soul. He directly used the so-called spatial teleportation. In just a few seconds, Longao's figure appeared at the seaside. The black dragon's speed was extremely fast. It was not inferior to Longao's teleportation. However, the black dragon was still a step too late because Longao had already entered the bottom of the sea and disappeared without a trace. Although the black dragon was incomparably powerful, it did not dare to enter the seabed. It turned out that the black dragon was most afraid of water. Once it entered the seabed, its strength would be greatly reduced. What if it encountered a powerful enemy? The anger in his heart erupted like a volcano. How could the dragon god swallow the fact that the dragon god crown was snatched away right under his nose? Although he couldn't find Longao, the dragon god couldn't swallow this anger. He could only vent his endless anger on the mythical island, preparing to destroy it directly. However, at this time, the mythical island's master, Yi Nantian, suddenly appeared. Looking at the black dragon in front of him, Yi Nantian didn't have the slightest fear. He indifferently said, "Black dragon, after so many years, you are still so hot-tempered. Humph, Yi Nantian, no matter when, I will never forget the grudge between your grandfather and I. I will settle this account with your mythical island sooner or later. Ha ha ha, Black Dragon, it's not that I look down on you. That year, my grandfather sealed you in the mythical island's secret realm. I can seal you again now. However, if you are willing to hand over the Dragon God Crown, I can consider letting you go. The Dragon God Crown had been stolen. Of course, the Dragon God couldn't take it out. However, the Dragon God wouldn't tell Yi Nantian. No matter what, the Dragon God cared about his face the most. The Dragon God was afraid. This in itself showed that Yi Nantian's strength was far above the Dragon God Crown's. That was why the Dragon God Crown stared at Yi Nantian. Suddenly, the Dragon God Crown turned around and left. After a short while, he had already disappeared in the sky. Yi Nantian didn't chase after him. It seemed like he had a card up his sleeve. The corner of his mouth slowly curved up with a trace of a cold smile. Yi Nantian said to himself, "Black Dragon, one day, I will make you hand over the Dragon God Crown obediently." Nantian, after the Dragon God Crown left this time, I believe that not long after, the Long family and the dragon race will come in large numbers. Are you really ready? Looking at the ancestor who suddenly appeared, Yi Nantian, as the lord of the mythical island, actually respectfully saluted and said, "Grandfather, everything is ready. This time, the Long family and the dragon race will come. I will definitely succeed." The old man who just appeared was none other than Yi Nantian's grandfather. He was also the real #1 powerhouse of the mythical island. The old man's expression was very dignified. No matter what, the Long family and the dragon race's strength were there. If they were careless, the mythical island would fall into eternal damnation. "Grandfather, I know what you are worried about. The reason why we failed in the past wasn't that our mythical island was weak. It was that the time and place didn't help us. This time, I believe that we will succeed." Since the matter had already reached this point, the old man could only nod and agree. "Since that is the case, you must be careful. If we really can't do it, we can only ask for help." "Grandfather." Before the old man could finish his words, Yi Nantian had already interrupted him and said, "Grandfather, I just said that this time, I will definitely succeed. I won't ask for help from anyone. Of course, I won't do anything that you haven't done yet. Nantian, you have to know that once we fail, not only you and me, even the entire mythical island will be destroyed. Long family and the dragon race. Although we are in great danger, there are also great opportunities. Once we succeed, not only in the external endless sea, but also in the Tianwu continent, we can also get a share of the profits. Therefore, this time, we can only win and not lose." Looking at his grandson's confident face, the old man didn't know why he always felt that this matter was somewhat inappropriate. However, he and his grandson had been waiting for this day for hundreds of years. If they didn't give it a try, they wouldn't be reconciled. The matter of the mythical island's secret territory was temporarily closed. The Longao's smooth departure and the Black Dragon's sudden appearance instantly spread throughout the external endless sea. It could be said that the Longao was now a famous person in the external endless sea. However, compared to the Black Dragon, he was nothing. That was because the topic of everyone's greed was always the Black Dragon, not the so-called Longao. Yi Tian and Yi Ming's smooth return made the people of the mythical island heave a long sigh of relief. Whether it was Yi Tian or Yi Ming, both of them had broken through and reached the divine realm. Chapter 671. At the bottom of the outer sea, in the Crystal Palace, looking at the Dragon God Crown in his hand, the Master Clairvoyant's face was full of admiration. He nodded and said, "You have successfully passed the first stage." "Senior Master Clairvoyant, I would like to know. I have successfully passed the first stage, but I don't know how to break through to the Sky Sage realm. It would be extremely difficult for an Earth Sage to break through to the Sky Sage realm from the 8th stage of the illusionary divine realm. However, Long Ao had risked his life to obtain the Dragon God Crown. He was looking forward to seeing how the Master Clairvoyant would help him. The Master Clairvoyant could naturally guess what Long Ao was thinking. "Don't worry about this. I can help you break through to the Sky Sage realm in 6 hours." Long Ao was very shocked when he heard that. He really couldn't imagine how the godly mathematician could make him break through from the Earth Saint stage to the Sky Saint stage in a short 6 hours. Since the Master Clairvoyant was unwilling to say, Longao did not continue to ask. Longao did not speak. He stood quietly and waited for the master clairvoyant to speak first. This wait lasted for a full 2 hours. Longao, do you know about the Dragon God Crown? Shaking his head, Longao only knew one thing. The Dragon God Crown in the master clairvoyant's hands was superior to the Dragon God Pearl. The master clairvoyant smiled and said, "The Dragon God Crown does not belong to this world. Then where does it belong?" "I don't know. Back then, I accidentally obtained the Divine Dragon Crown and gave it to the Primordial Divine Dragon. Originally, I thought that Long Tian and the Primordial Divine Dragon would inherit my mantle and rule this world. However, I didn't expect that the man and the dragon would be too arrogant." With regards to this, Longao had never thought of it. Longao could not understand. Since the Master Clairvoyant had given the Dragon God Crown to the Primordial Divine Dragon, why would the Dragon God Crown appear in the mysterious realm of the mythical island? All of this seemed so mysterious. Once the Dragon God Crown is fused with the Dragon God Crown, his cultivation speed will increase greatly. Not only that, once he fuses with the Dragon God Crown, he will not die no matter what. Death-avoiding Divine Dragon Crown. If the Divine Dragon Crown was as powerful as the Oracle said, then why was the Primordial Divine Dragon killed by the Oracle back then? Before Longao could say anything, Master God Diviner said, "If the primeval Divine Dragons had the God Dragon Crown, they wouldn't have perished." "All right, Longao, since you've already obtained the Divine Dragon Crown, I'll give it to you." Longao had wanted to ask why the Primordial Divine Dragons didn't have the Dragon God Crown, but when he heard that Master God Diviner had given him the Dragon God Crown, he was pleasantly surprised. Although the Divine Dragon Crown was of no use to him, it was the most precious thing to Little Rascal. Once Little Rascal fused with it, it could be said that Little Rascal would have an immortal body in the future. "Thank you, Senior Clairvoyant." Longao also did not have the slightest bit of politeness and immediately took the Divine Dragon Crown from the Divine Mathematician's hands. "Senior Clairvoyant, since I've successfully passed the first trial, what are the next 2 trials? Let's talk about that later." Master God Diviner brought Longao to a black space. As soon as Longao stepped in, before Master God Diviner could say anything, Longao's expression changed. At this moment, Longao finally understood why Master God Diviner was so confident that he could break through from the Earth Saint Realm to the Sky Saint Realm in just 6 hours. It turned out that there was an enormous amount of heaven and earth spiritual energy in this black space. It was hundreds, or even thousands of times stronger than the outside world. But even so, if an ordinary person wanted to break through from the Earth Saint Realm to the Sky Saint Realm in just 6 hours, could it be that Master God Diviner had already calculated his Dragon Seal space? At this time, Longao didn't hold back in the slightest. He immediately discussed with Long Fu how they could obtain the greatest benefits in the shortest time possible. In the following time, Long Fu began to refine the heaven and earth spiritual energy in the surroundings. It began to pour into Longao's body. Without a doubt, 6 hours later, Longao's cultivation had smoothly broken through from the Earth Saint Realm to the Sky Saint Realm. However, his realm was still very unstable. But Longao was already very satisfied. Now, Longao was full of confidence. With his current confidence, even if he met a Sky Saint expert, he would definitely have the strength to fight. "You really didn't let me down. To be able to break through from the Earth Saint Realm to the Sky Saint Realm in just 6 hours, you are the first person since ancient times. Even Tian Dao back then couldn't do this. Many thanks to Master God Diviner for helping me. Longao, you have successfully passed the first trial. Now, the second trial will officially begin." Longao didn't speak. He just stood there quietly. "Longao, the second trial is actually very simple. This time, you will return to the 9 states and lead your dragon sect to destroy the 4 great forces within 2 years. Then, you will have passed the second trial." F***CK hearing the contents of the second trial from Master God Diviner, Longao cursed in his heart. "This is called very simple? Even if I want to destroy the 4 great forces, I have to be able to do it. 2 years. Longao didn't want to wait any longer. But since Master God Diviner had already said it, He couldn't choose otherwise. It was just that there were too many variables in 2 years, and no one could say for sure. Longao still did not have a definite time for the 1,000 over Supreme Tao inheritances in the sect. He did not know when all of the 1,000 over Supreme Tao inheritances would become Supreme Tao martial artists. At that moment, who in the 9 states would be a match for him and the Dragon sect? Longao, I have just calculated. If there is nothing else, I advise you to return to the 9 states immediately. Master God Diviner, did something happen in the 9 states? There was a hidden meaning in his words. Longao could hear that there was another meaning in Master God Diviner's words. If there was no accident, it seemed that something had happened in the Dragon sect. That's right. Longao immediately became nervous. He didn't know what had happened in the Dragon sect. Longao, everything has been decided by the heavens. You can't force it. Seeing that Master God Diviner didn't want to say more, Longao became even more anxious. Suddenly, Longao said, "My fate is in my own hands, not in the hands of the heavens. My fate has been decided, so I will change it." Longao turned around and left quickly. With the teleportation channel of the Crystal Palace, Longao could return to the Tianzhou in an instant. This was also where Longao could breathe a sigh of relief. Otherwise, rushing back to the Tianzhou from the outer sea would delay everything. Looking at the departing figure, Master God Diviner's expression was unreadable. With a deep sigh, Master God Diviner muttered to himself, "My fate is in my own hands, not in the hands of the heavens. Back then, I also tried to change my fate, but in the end, I only ended up like this. Is it possible to change fate?" Master God Diviner laughed at himself, then turned and left the hall, disappearing. Chapter 672. Tianwu Continent. 9 Prefectures. Tianzhou, Dragon Sect. In the blink of an eye, 4 months had passed since Longao left Dragon Sect. 9 Prefectures was already the overlord of Dragon Sect. Ever since the 4 major powers left 9 prefectures, they hadn't entered 9 prefectures. In everyone's eyes, the 4 major powers were truly afraid of Dragon Sect. In other words, the 4 major powers were afraid of Longao. Longao had risen in such a short period of time. Not to mention that everyone could not understand. Even the 4 great forces could not understand. In just 2 short years, Longao had grown to such a level. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, who would believe it? At this moment, Longao was in a complete mess. Everyone was extremely nervous and worried because Longao's parents had suddenly disappeared. That's right, Long Yi and Mu Lin had suddenly disappeared. No one knew where they went. Under normal circumstances, if Mu Lin and Long Yi had something to do and left, they would definitely inform Long Haosher. Even if they couldn't find Long Haosher, they would probably inform others. But now, without a sound, the 2 of them had disappeared into thin air. Could it be that something had happened to Mu Lin and Long Yi? The more they thought about it, the more afraid they became. No matter what, their identities were too special. The master wasn't here, but their parents were gone. Not to mention others, even the master's grandfather, Long Haosher, seemed to be difficult to explain. It was precisely because of this that the entire Dragon Sect was doing their best to find Long Yi and Mu Lin's whereabouts. Dragon Sect, Main Hall. Long Haosher's expression was gloomy to the extreme. Ever since the rise of Dragon Sect and family, such a thing had never happened. Furthermore, trying to take someone away from the Dragon Sect without anyone noticing was like a fool's dream. It was something that was almost impossible. "Father, we've already searched everywhere, but we still haven't found Big Brother and sister-in-law." Waving his hand, Long Haosher said in an extremely cold voice, "There's no need to search. If there's no accident, the 2 of them should have been taken away." Hearing their father's words, the few of them were shocked. No one could figure out who had such strength to silently take away Big Brother and sister-in-law from Dragon Sect. "Father, what should we do now?" Long Haosher did not say anything. He lowered his head in deep thought because he really could not think of anyone who could take away his son and daughter-in-law without anyone noticing when the old ancestor was in charge of the sect. Others might not know, but how could he not know? His ancestors' cultivation base had already reached the heavenly god realm. Who on the martial heaven continent could match him? After thinking about it, Longao still couldn't figure it out. In the end, Longao only suspected 4 forces, which were the so-called overlords of the 9 states' spirit domain. They were the East Imperial City, the Long family of the Western Third Grade, the Southern Netherworld Mansion, and the Northern Ethereal Palace. Father, Aoer is back. Hearing that his grandson had returned, Longao immediately stood up. At this moment, Longao rushed back, covered in dust. Using the teleportation tunnel of the Crystal Palace, Longao hurried back to the sect as soon as he arrived in Tianzhou. After entering the sect, Longao's face was immediately filled with worry and nervousness. Aoer, you're back. Nodding his head, Longao impatiently asked, Grandfather, what happened? Longao naturally guessed that his grandson had already received the news. With an extremely grave expression, he said, Aoer, I don't know what happened. 3 days ago, and Shaolin suddenly disappeared. We have already searched for 3 whole days, but we still haven't found the 2 of them. Could it be the 4 great forces? In an instant, Longao thought that it was the 4 great forces. After all, in the 9 states, only the 4 great forces had a grudge with him to the point where they couldn't tolerate each other. However, after thinking about it, Longao immediately rejected the guess in his heart. Because within the sect, other than the ancestor, there was still his grandfather and the fire Qilan Songyi. Could the 4 great forces have done it? Longao was very clear in his heart that according to the old ancestor's strength, even if a divine realm martial artist came personally, he might not be able to bring his parents quietly. Moreover, among the 4 major forces, it seemed that the strongest person was only a titled Great Emperor. Not to mention a divine realm martial artist, there was not even an ordinary Supreme Tao martial artist. Since it wasn't the 4 great forces, then who could it be? He was very anxious. His parents had suddenly disappeared, and no one knew what had happened. After greeting his grandfather, Longao immediately left. He released his aura to sense the ancestor's aura. After sensing back and forth, what made Longao feel increasingly uneasy was that the ancestor had actually disappeared. What was going on? According to the ancestor, he would only enter the 7th reincarnation after he had dealt with the 4 great forces. If that was the case, why did the ancestor suddenly leave? Longao knew that if the ancestor was still around, he believed that the ancestor would definitely take the initiative to welcome him when he released his aura. The ancestor had disappeared, and his parents had disappeared. What was going on? Intuition told Longao that things weren't that simple. After finding his grandfather, Longao told him about the ancestor's matter. After listening, Longao thought for a moment and said, Aoer, if it's like this, then this matter isn't simple at all. At the very least, the 4 great forces wouldn't be able to do it. Longao nodded his head. Regarding the meaning of his grandfather's words, Longao naturally knew clearly. Grandfather, there aren't many people in the Tianwu continent who can do this. I've thought about it, and it seems that only the Long family would do this. Aoer, if it's really the Long family, what are you going to do? I'm going to the Long family immediately. Whether it was the ancestor or his parents, Longao couldn't let anything happen to them. Even if he clearly knew that the Long family's strength wasn't something he could contend against, he would still do it. As the saying goes, if you know that there are tigers on the mountain, you will still go up the mountain. Even if there was a mountain of blades and a sea of flames in front of him, Longao was willing to take this risk for his parents and the ancestor. Sighing deeply, Longao said, Aoer, it shouldn't be the Long family. This matter is very strange. You and I have to think about it at length. But the problem right now is that we don't know who is causing trouble behind the scenes. So we have to wait and see what their next step is. In fact, Longao and Longao were both very curious. If this person could even capture the old ancestor without a sound, then it already meant that this person was very powerful. If that was the case, then why didn't he make a move if he wanted to deal with the Long family? Since that was the case, what was their intention? Thinking about it, Longao also felt that this matter shouldn't be the Long family's doing. Otherwise, the Long family wouldn't have given the Long family the slightest chance. Furthermore, he also couldn't understand why the Long family would do this. Chapter 673. Since it wasn't the Long family, then who could it be? Longao couldn't think of a reason no matter how hard he thought about it. Because there was one thing he couldn't understand, and that was why the old ancestor had disappeared. His parents were just ordinary people. Even if they had the inheritance of the divine way, it was not something that could be done overnight to become a divine way martial artist. But the old ancestor was different. As a heavenly god martial artist, unless it was a divine way martial artist of the same level, who else could take the old ancestor away without anyone knowing? This matter was a little strange. Longao regretted not being in the Crystal Palace to ask the godly mathematician. Perhaps others didn't know, but he was very sure that the oracle knew about this matter. No matter what, if it wasn't for the oracle, he wouldn't have been able to rush back so quickly. The path of divine divination. At this moment, Longao couldn't figure out who had taken away his old ancestor and parents. After chatting with his grandfather for a while, Longao immediately began to comprehend the path of divine divination. He knew very well that if he wanted to know who did this as soon as possible, then there was only one way, and that was to comprehend the path of divine divination as soon as possible. Longao didn't return to the Crystal Palace in the Outer Sea, because Longao knew that even if he went back, the oracle might not tell him. If the oracle was willing to tell him, he would have told him back then. There was no need to wait until now. Because of this, Longao focused on comprehending the path of divine divination. The dragon sect didn't continue to search for Mu Lin and Long Yi's whereabouts. Not only that, everyone went into hiding. For a time, the dragon sect seemed to be completely silent. Not only that, the news of their disappearance was completely blocked by the dragon sect. 3 days later, Longao quietly left the sect and headed for the spirit realm of the 9 states. After comprehending the path of divine divination for 3 days, he still didn't find anything. The more it was like this, the more danger his parents and old ancestor were in. Therefore, Longao couldn't wait a moment longer. Although he knew that this matter might not be the doing of the 4 great forces, Longao was still unwilling to let go of any clues. He immediately rushed to the spirit realm of the 9 states to investigate the 4 great forces and see if it had anything to do with the disappearance of his parents and old ancestor. The spirit realm of the 9 states. 3rd level Long family, main hall. Long Yin and Long Maloan were extremely surprised by Longao's sudden appearance. The relationship between the 4 major forces and the dragon sect had already reached the point where they were like fire and water. As the saying goes, when enemies meet, their eyes turn red. If it weren't for the fact that they wanted to see what Longao was here for, the 2 of them would have attacked long ago. Heavenly Saint Realm. Long Maoan and Long Yin had no idea that Longao's cultivation had officially broken through to the Sky Saint Realm. Otherwise, who knew what they would think? However, one had to admit that Longao's guts were very big. Even if he was a heavenly Ascension Realm warrior, once the Long family wanted to deal with him, it would be an easy matter. This was because the rank 3 Long clan had Sage Kings, Sage Emperors, Sage Venerables, Sage Emperors, and even titled Great Emperors. Master Long, may I know why you've come this time? Long Maoan and Long Yan's martial arts were pretty good. At the very least, one couldn't tell that the 2 of them had a grudge against Longao. If an outsider saw them, they would think that the 3 of them were friends and not enemies. Long Maoan, I don't have time to waste with you. Let's get straight to the point. I've come this time mainly for one thing. Longao didn't believe in hiding anything, so he told them about the disappearance of his parents. After hearing this, both Long Maoan and Long Yin were shocked. This was because the 2 of them had never imagined that Longao's parents would go missing right under the nose of the dragon sect. If Longao hadn't said it himself, they wouldn't have believed it even if they were beaten to death. In an instant, Long Maoan and Long Yin knew the purpose of Longao's visit. Longao thought that they were the ones who did it? Long Maoan laughed coldly and said, Longao, it wasn't my Long clan's doing. Longao believed Long Maoan's words 100%. This was because he had already guessed that the disappearance of his parents and ancestors had nothing to do with the four major forces. Even so, Longao was prepared to give it a try. Longao, among the four major forces in the 9 states, there are only 3 that are most likely to be responsible. Other than the Nether Mansion, I have to find my parents no matter what. Once I find out, no matter who it is, I'll destroy their entire family. Longao's intention was very clear. He had even made his threat clear. If an ordinary person had said this, Long Maoan and Long Yin would have only coughed and treated the person's words as nonsense. However, Longao's situation was completely different. Longao had the right to say this. Not to mention other things, just the so-called corpse slave army alone wasn't something that an ordinary person could fight against. However, Long Maoan and Long Yin clearly weren't worried. The two of them knew very well that unless it was absolutely necessary, they believed that Longao wouldn't choose to die together with them. Longao, I've already said that the disappearance of your parents has nothing to do with my Long clan. Have you gotten a satisfactory answer now? All right, I hope you remember what you've said today. You want to leave? Long Maoan suddenly laughed coldly as he looked at Long Ao, who was about to turn and leave. At this moment, 8 Earth Saints and 2 Heavenly Saints suddenly appeared in the Long clan's main hall. In Long Maoan and Long Yan's opinion, this force was enough to easily kill Long Ao. Whether it was Long Maoan or Long Yin, they still thought that Long Ao was just an insignificant saint. Little did they know that in just a few months, Long Ao's cultivation had increased tremendously. He had gone from a saint substitute to a heavenly saint. After a few days of stabilizing, Long Ao's heavenly saint realm had more or less stabilized. Although he couldn't fight against an advanced heavenly saint or a peak heavenly saint, Long Ao was still confident that he could fight against a beginner heavenly saint and a mid-heavenly saint. However, among the 2 heavenly saints that the Long clan had sent out, one was an advanced heavenly saint and the other was a mid-heavenly saint. With such a force, Long Ao didn't dare to be careless. He was ready to attack at any moment. Long Maoan, do you think you can keep me here? Looking at Long Ao's confident face, Long Maoan and Long Yin felt even more uncertain. Could it be that Long Ao was really that confident? Both of them didn't believe it. After all, in their opinion, Long Ao was just an insignificant saint. Even an Earth saint could easily take care of Long Ao, let alone fighting against 10 heavenly saints alone. Long Ao, you and I both know how strong you are. With your current strength, aren't you a little too arrogant to think that you can walk out of the Long clan? I'll give you a chance. As long as you take the Dragon Sect and merge with the Long clan, I'll consider letting you go. How about it? This was arrogance. This was capital. In Long Maoan's opinion, Long Ao was nothing in his eyes. In his opinion, Long Ao was dead meat. Chapter 674. Long Ao snorted in his heart. Ever since Long Ao had broken through to the heavenly saint realm, he had never tested his strength. An Earth Saint martial artist would not be placed in Long Ao's eyes. However, Long Ao did not have full confidence in defeating heavenly saint martial artists. Long Ao knew very well that Long Morwen was only doing this because he wanted to regain his face from the last time. However, Long Ao had managed to leave the Long family despite being surrounded by experts the last time Long Ao went to the Long family. The Long family had lost their face. Long Morwen, if I asked you to bring your family into the Dragon Sect, would you agree? Looks like you're still stubborn. Before Long Ao could speak, Long Yin suddenly said, Long Ao, as the saying goes, a wise man submits to circumstances. You'd better know your place. Otherwise, not only you, but even the Dragon Sect will suffer because of you. Ha ha ha. Long Ao laughed and said, Long Morwen, cut the crap. If you think you can keep me here, just do it. There's no need to waste time. Long Ao's confidence had indeed stunned the two of them. However, Long Morwen and Long Yin would not give up such a rare opportunity so easily. They did not continue to talk nonsense. This battle was unavoidable, so there was no need to talk nonsense. Long Morwen and Long Yin slowly retreated 20 steps. The 2 heavenly saints also retreated, leaving only 8 Earth saints. The Long family's intention was clear. If they used the heavenly saints to kill Longao, even if they succeeded, the Long family would lose face. Just as Longao had guessed, Long Morwen's attack this time was not only because of the grudge between Longao and the rank 3 Long family, but also because he wanted to regain his face. That was why the Long family thought that 8 Earth Saints were more than enough. Looking coldly at the 8 Earth Saints in front of him, Longao did not release any aura as if he had a card up his sleeve. Kill. One of the 8 Earth Sages dashed out as soon as Long Merciless said the word kill. The way the 8 of them saw it, even if they defeated Longao together, it would not be a glorious victory. Because of this, one of them was prepared to fight alone. Everyone from the Long family was filled with confidence. They believed that even if one of them attacked, Longao would be dead for sure. However, what happened next completely shocked everyone. This was because Longao had only used one move to kill an Earth Saint. It turned out that Longao had used the Divine Dragon Arm when he attacked earlier. Not to mention that Longao was an entire grade higher than an Earth Sage, even if they were of the same grade. If Longao wanted to kill an Earth Sage, he could do it in an instant. After smashing Earth Sage to death with a single punch, Longao did not hesitate in the slightest. Following that, Longao charged towards the 7 people. This time, Longao also went on a killing spree. It was still the same old saying, if you don't offend me, I won't offend you. If you offend me, I'll return the favor twofold. Longao did not give the 7 Earth Sages any chance. In the blink of an eye, the 8 of them were engaged in a fierce battle. In just a few moves, the battle between the two sides had escalated infinitely. Long Merciless and Long Yan's expressions were extremely ugly. The two of them had never imagined that Longao's cultivation had already broken through. He was not a so-called saint, but a genuine Earth Sage. Not only that, Longao's strength could kill an Earth Sage in an instant. This in itself was enough to prove how powerful Longao was. Losing an Earth Sage made Long Merciless' heart ache. However, things had already developed to this point. Long Merciless was very clear that he had to kill Longao. Otherwise, not only would he lose an Earth Sage for nothing, but the Long family's reputation would also be completely lost. Even so, the 2 heavenly sages did not make a move. Sometimes, these cultivators were like this. They clearly knew that they were not a match for others, but they still cared about their reputation. If the 2 heavenly sages had made a move earlier, things would not have developed to this point. 1 against 7. Longao's fists smashed out consecutively. The Divine Dragon Arm and the Hell Tiger Arm alternated. A series of fist shadows appeared, not giving the 7 people the slightest chance. Longao wanted to end the battle quickly. He clearly knew that the longer the battle dragged on, the more disadvantageous it would be for them. After all, behind the 7 Earth Sages, there were still 2 Heavenly Sages and even more hidden cultivators. Therefore, he could not afford to waste any time. Blood-sucking blade. Longao held the blood-sucking blade in his hand and directly slashed out with his most powerful blade. It was the devouring sky. The terrifying blade light instantly tore apart the space, and the terrifying spatial crack devoured everything. Seeing this, everyone was shocked. The 7 Earth Sages naturally knew what was going on. Not daring to continue fighting, the 7 Earth Sages immediately prepared to escape. However, everything seemed to be too late. The blade light had already devoured everyone. Without a doubt, the 7 Earth Sages were devoured completely. After dealing with the 7, Longao did not leave. Instead, he stared coldly at the 4 people before him. With a cold snort, Longao said indifferently, "Long Morwen, you forced me. Don't blame me for being merciless." At this moment, Long Morwen and Long Yan's faces were extremely gloomy. A total of 8 Earth Sages were mercilessly killed just like that. A total of 8 Earth Sages. 8 Earth Sages. Even the Long family could not afford to lose them. Longao, do you think that you can go against my Long family just because you killed 8 people? Whether I have the right or not, you don't have the right to say it. I have the right to say it. If I can kill 8 people, I can kill all of you. If you don't believe me, you can try. Longao's words made Long Morwen's face turn even gloomier. This was because Long Morwen had never imagined that things would turn out like this. When did Long Ao become so powerful? Such a cultivation speed was a little too terrifying. If this kid was not eliminated, there would be endless trouble in the future. Elders, I'll leave this person to you. Nodding their heads, the two heavenly sages of the Long family were no longer as relaxed as before. The blade light that Long Ao had just used was too powerful. Just the spatial crack that it created was something that the two heavenly sages were not able to do. Not to mention them, even divine martial artists would not be able to do this. To be able to kill 7 Earth sages in an instant, 1 against 7, was enough to prove Long Ao's strength. As two heavenly sages, they were afraid of a young man. If this matter were to spread, many people would not believe it. Are the two of you afraid? Long Ao, I have to admit that your talent and potential are the best in the 9 continents. However, don't be arrogant. I can tell you clearly that your strength is worthless in the eyes of the Long family. It would be easy for the Long family to eliminate you. Originally, we wanted to give you a chance to join our Long family. However, it seems like you won't have the chance now. Chapter 675. Long Mo cursed in his heart. Long Ao had seen shameless people before, but he had never seen such shameless people. He found it hard to imagine what gave the two of them such courage when things had already come to this point. Not to mention anything else, how could the two heavenly saints not see anything fishy about the spatial crack that he had created? However, Long Ao was not worried. Even if one of them was an advanced heavenly saint, he still wanted to see how strong he was now. Long Ao, we'll let you know the difference between us in 10 moves. 10 moves. The two heavenly saints were very confident that they could easily kill Long Ao in 10 moves. However, Long Ao sneered and extended his right hand. Others might not know what he meant, but Long Mowen and the other two heavenly saints knew what he meant. 5 moves. The two heavenly saints needed 10 moves, but Long Ao only needed 5 moves. What did this mean? Long Ao was a little too arrogant. Looking at the young man in front of them, especially his blood-red hair and black clothes, the two heavenly saints were extremely annoyed. They had never seen such an arrogant person before. Although they were very confident, the two heavenly saints still had some fear in their hearts. If it had been an ordinary Earth Saint martial artist, they would not have taken him seriously. However, the situation of the young man in front of them was completely different. The spatial crack that Long Ao had created had deeply shocked everyone, especially the two heavenly saints. Perhaps Long Mowen and Long Yin could not feel anything, but the two heavenly saints knew very well that if they had been swallowed by Long Ao's saber radiance, the result would have been the same. They would have died without a burial place. Both parties did not continue to talk nonsense. Both parties stared at each other, exuding powerful killing intent. Before they even made a move, the powerful killing intent from both parties had already collided violently. Sparks flew in all directions, giving off a feeling that it was either one of them who would die. Long Mowen and Long Yin retreated once again, because their strength was no longer at this level. Long Mowen and Long Yin's faces darkened again. Patriarch, Long Ao's strength has increased too quickly. It has far exceeded our understanding. If this continues, no one can guarantee how far he can go. Long Mowen didn't say anything. He just listened quietly. Clan, with Long Ao's cultivation speed, if we continue to indulge him, I'm afraid that one day we won't be able to control him. Long Mowen nodded. How could he not know what Long Yin was worried about? Because of that, Long Mowen had already made up his mind. This time, no matter what happens, we have to capture this kid. Heaving a long sigh of relief, Long Yin was very wary of Long Ao, even afraid. The two of them stared unblinkingly at the shocking battle before them. It was hard to imagine that before the battle even started, just the collision of killing intent was already so shocking. Neither side moved. Even so, the two heavenly saints were extremely shocked. They almost shouted in shock. You're actually a heavenly saint martial artist? Heavenly saint martial artist? Long Ao was a heavenly saint martial artist? Hearing the two heavenly saint elders' words, both Long Maoan and Long Yin were shocked. The two of them had never imagined that Longao, who they thought was just an earth saint martial artist, would actually become a heavenly saint martial artist. Long Yin and Long Maoan looked at each other. Both of them could see the deep fear in each other's eyes. This was too terrifying. How long had it been? In just a few months, Longao had broken through from the saint stage to the heavenly saint stage. What did this mean? This kind of cultivation speed wasn't something that a human could achieve. At this moment, the two of them finally understood why Longao could kill an earth saint in an instant. Moreover, he could still succeed in killing 7 earth saints in a 1-on-7 situation. Longao only smiled. At this moment, Longao suddenly moved. In the end, Longao still chose to make the first move. Although his cultivation had already broken through to the heavenly saint stage, he was still a beginner heavenly saint. If it was a 1-on-1 battle, he might have full confidence. However, in a 1-on-2 situation, Longao was more or less a little worried. Because of this, Longao finally chose to end the battle quickly. In other words, he was the one who made the first move. In the blink of an eye, the two sides were already engaged in a fierce battle. Of course, Longao knew what it meant for the two of them to join forces. Therefore, as soon as the battle started, Longao immediately used his innate ability, Dragon Roar. Innate ability, Dragon Roar. At the same time, a huge dragon shadow suddenly appeared behind Longao. A shocking scene occurred. The two heavenly saints realized that their bodies were instantly locked in place. Even the flow of time around them began to reverse. What's going on? The fact that Longao had an innate ability was known to everyone in the rank 3 Long clan. Even so, the two heavenly saints didn't put Longao's innate ability in their eyes. Everyone knew. Long family disciples, no matter what rank they were from, had to enter the Long family's ancestral hall to undergo the so-called bloodline baptism if they wanted to awaken their bloodline and reproduce their innate ability. However, what about Longao? Others might not know, but the people of the Long clan knew very well that Longao had never entered the Long family's ancestral hall. Otherwise, Longao wouldn't be standing here right now. Since that was the case, how powerful would the innate ability that Longao had awakened from his bloodline be if he relied on his luck alone? But what was the result? The result was the exact opposite. At this moment, the two heavenly saints had truly witnessed Longao's power. Although they didn't know what Longao's innate ability was, to be able to lock them in place and change the flow of time, such an innate ability was definitely a super existence even in the Long family. As rank 3 heavenly saints of the Long clan, the two of them knew very well how powerful the innate ability that Longao had awakened was. They didn't dare to be careless. Of course, the two heavenly saints knew that if they were the slightest bit careless, they would be doomed eternally. It was precisely because of this that the two heavenly saints used all the strength in their bodies and joined forces to attack the innate divine ability. It had to be said that the two heavenly saints were very powerful. In just a few seconds, before Longao could even attack in the next second, the two of them had already used their own strength to forcefully break through the lock. Before the two heavenly saints could react, Longao's body had already disappeared. The two heavenly saints might not know what had happened, but as bystanders, Long Yin and Long Morwen could clearly see what Longao had done. Longao had disappeared into thin air? What had happened? Long Maoan and Long Yin yelled almost at the same time, "Watch out!" Chapter 676. Be careful behind you. The two heavenly saints seemed to know what had happened after hearing Long Morwen and Long Yan's warning. Neither of them dared to imagine how Longao had done it. However, the battle had already progressed to this stage. If they let their guard down, they would be killed immediately. The two heavenly saints did not even turn around. They knew very well that the moment they turned around, the chances of them being killed would be infinitely greater. Because of this, the two heavenly saints who had just broken free from the lock struck back with their palms. The power of the combined palms of two heavenly saints was unimaginable. Longao cursed Long Morwen and Long Yin in his heart. He even cursed their ancestors. Long Ao knew very well that if it had not been for Long Yin and Long Morwen's warning, he believed that he would have successfully killed the two heavenly saints by now. However, he had already lost the best opportunity. If it had been anyone else, they would have retreated and looked for a new opportunity once they had lost their chance. However, Long Ao was different. Long Ao was such a person. Without hesitation, he used the Divine Dragon Arm and the Hell Tiger Arm. In the blink of an eye, the two sides had already collided. His fist shook heaven and earth. Boom! With a loud bang, both sides were sent flying. However, the three heavenly saints, who were natural martial artists, forcibly stopped in midair. The two heavenly saints' faces were extremely gloomy as they stared at the youth in front of them. Until now, the two heavenly saints still did not dare to imagine that the other party was so powerful. If it had not been for Long Yin and Long Morwen's warning, they believed that the two of them would have been killed by the other party. Was this for real? Before this, the two heavenly saints were full of confidence that they could easily kill the other party. However, they were absolutely unwilling to accept the result of this battle. Long Ao. Before the two of them could speak, Long Ao spoke first. If it had not been for the two of them, you would have already lost. It didn't even take 5 moves. Hearing this, the two heavenly saints' faces turned ugly. What the other party said was right. They had no rebuttal. They did not even know how to refute him. If I were you, I would go back and buy 2 pounds of tofu and slowly kill you. Pooh. Hearing Long Ao's mockery, the two heavenly saints even had the heart to die. They couldn't wait to find a hole to hide in. However, they knew that this matter couldn't be spread out. Otherwise, where would their dignity go? Where would the Long family's face go? Long Ao, no matter what, you will die today. Really? Looking at Long Ao's strange smile, Long Mowen and Long Yin felt a chill in their hearts. Could it be that Long Ao still had a trump card? It would be a lie to say that he wasn't worried. However, the two of them knew that since things had come to this point, no matter what, Long Ao had to die. It was precisely because of this that the two heavenly saints did not continue to talk nonsense. At this time, with the lesson learned from the previous incident, the two heavenly saints immediately used their killing moves, not giving Long Ao the slightest chance. This time, Long Ao did not continue to use his innate ability and spatial teleportation. He already had 2 trump cards. If he caught them off guard, he believed that he could kill the two of them in an instant. However, it would be difficult to do so once the two of them were on guard. Long Ao continued to punch with his fists. With the help of the Divine Desolation body, Long Ao could be considered to have the upper hand. Boom, boom, boom. Long Ao's strength had far exceeded everyone's knowledge. Before this, no one had thought that Long Ao would be so powerful. It was also because of this that Long Ao's strength had completely disrupted the Long family's plans. Long Mowen and Long Yin had even forgotten their heartache and the fact that they had already lost 8 Earth Saints. At this moment, the two of them only had one wish, and that was to defeat Long Ao. No matter what happened, no matter what price they had to pay, they had to kill him and get rid of all future troubles. Long Mowen had even decided that if the two heavenly saints could not defeat Long Ao, then in the end, they would have to ask for help from stronger warriors in the family, which were the so-called Saint Kings, Saint Emperors, or even Saint Sovereigns and Saint Emperors. However, unless it was absolutely necessary, Long Mowen was not willing to do so. As the head of the Long family, Long Mowen had to think about the family's interests at all times. If news of this were to spread that they had to summon warriors above the Saint Kings to deal with Long Ao, the Long family's reputation would be ruined. Sometimes, reputation was more important than anything to the Long family. Head of the family, I'm afraid that the 2 elders won't be able to defeat Long Ao. Although he did not want to believe it, the truth was right in front of him. Long Ao was gradually gaining the upper hand. If this continued, the 2 elders would definitely lose. How could Long Mowen not know what Long Yin was implying? Did they really have to ask for help from the family's experts? If that was the case, where would the family's reputation go? As the head of the Long family, Long Mowen had more considerations than Long Yin. Waving his hand, Long Mowen said with a serious expression, "Let's wait and see." Head of the family, If Longao kills the two heavenly saint elders, our losses will be unbearable. The concept of a heavenly saint was completely different from that of an earth saint. It could be said that the status of a heavenly saint could not be replaced by 10 earth saints. They had already lost 8 earth saints. If they were to lose 2 more heavenly saints, then the Long family would really have to hide in the toilet and cry. Even so, Longao still could not make up his mind. Ever since he had become the head of the Long family, he had never encountered such a situation. A small Longao had caused a huge commotion in the family and caused them to lose all their reputation. The battle between Longao and the 2 elders had reached its climax. Were they really going to lose the 2 elders? Just as Longao was about to take action, the battle suddenly turned around. Longao was wielding his blood-sucking broadsword and attacking the 2 elders like a storm. Taking advantage of the fact that the 2 elders could not hold on any longer, Longao used his innate ability, Dragon's Roar, for the second time. When the 2 elders' bodies were locked in place, the flow of time around them started to reverse. Since the battle had already reached this stage, it seemed impossible for the 2 elders to break free from the lock even if they wanted to. They would not be able to escape death. Seeing the situation, Longao and Long Yin panicked. At this point, it seemed impossible for them to find help even if they wanted to. Were they really going to lose 2 heavenly saint experts? The Long family really could not afford to lose 2 heavenly saint experts. If the 2 elders were really killed by Longao, how would they be able to face the ancestors of the Long family? Just as Longao's blade light was about to devour the 2 elders, a terrifying force swept them away, causing Longao's blade light to miss and fail to kill the 2 heavenly saints. Chapter 677. Everyone's face lit up when they saw the elder who had suddenly appeared. The 2 heavenly sages, Long Yin and Longao, immediately bowed respectfully and said, "Greetings, Elder Ancestor." Elder Ancestor? The Elder Ancestor who had suddenly appeared was none other than the strongest person in the Long clan, Longyang. He was also the so-called titled Great Emperor. Long Yin and Longao had not expected the Elder Ancestor to suddenly appear. After all, the Elder Ancestor had not appeared for so many years. Because of this, the 2 of them clearly knew that the Elder Ancestor had come out this time mainly for the youth in front of them. Although Longao's face revealed a hint of surprise, he still felt helpless and depressed. In the end, they had forced the Elder Ancestor to act. This was already embarrassing for them. "You are Longao? And who are you?" Longao could clearly sense the strength of a titled Great Emperor. Because of this, he was fully on guard and prepared at all times. He also did not know when the Elder Ancestor would act. "I am Longyang." Longyang? Longao was not unfamiliar with this name. He believed that in the 9 states, the name Longyang would not be unfamiliar. He was one of the only 4 titled Great Emperors in the 9 states spirit region. "Longao, you are very arrogant." There wasn't the slightest bit of anger, but anyone could imagine that Longyang, as the ancestor of the Long family, wouldn't be willing to let the matter go. "I don't want to talk about who is right and who is wrong. If you want to fight, let's fight." "Ha ha ha, what a good, I don't want to talk about who is right and who is wrong. What a good, if you want to fight, let's fight." "Longao, among all the young people I have met, you are the one with the most character. You are also the one with the best talent." Longao did not interrupt because he did not know what Longyang wanted. "Maoan, what happened just now? You have to answer truthfully." Hearing the Elder Ancestor's words, Longmao's heart trembled. What did the Elder Ancestor want to do? He didn't dare to hide anything. After all, at this moment, Longao didn't know what the old ancestor wanted. After all, he knew very well that if the old ancestor wanted to, not only could he strip him of his position as the clan leader, he could even kill him. Then, Long's savior told him everything that had happened. 99% of it was the truth. After hearing this, Longyang nodded, and his face began to look a little ugly. "According to what you said, Longao can't be blamed for this?" Longyang's heart skipped a beat. Longyang had completely stumped Longao. For a moment, he did not know what to do. Slap. At this moment, a slap rang out. Long Yin looked at the old master before him in shock. He covered his face with his right hand in disbelief. He had not expected the old master to slap him all of a sudden. Just what in the world was going on? Even Long Maoan and the other two were completely stunned. They all looked at the old master dumbfoundedly, let alone Long Yin. Long Ao coldly looked at the scene in front of him, but still did not say anything. This was because he also wanted to see what kind of medicine Long Yang was selling in the gourd. It was also because of this that Long Ao became more and more afraid of Long Yang. His intuition told him that this person was not simple. Long Yin, I asked you to assist Maoan in managing the Long clan. Yet, you attacked Master Long without any reason. What is the meaning of this? Old Master. Long Yang waved his hand, not giving Long Maoan any chance to speak. He coldly snorted and said, Could it be that you want to sow discord and turn us against the dragon sect? Long Yin was speechless. He did not know what to say. The situation had changed completely. Originally, he thought that the old master would kill Long Ao directly if he personally stepped in. But now, the old master was obviously helping Long Ao. Whether it was Long Ao, Long Maoan, or the two heavenly saint ancient martial art practitioners, none of them knew what had happened. They thought that the old master had betrayed them. However, the four of them knew very well that no matter who betrayed them, the old master would not betray them. Since that was the case, what did the old master mean by this? He snorted heavily, scaring Long Yin so much that he trembled. Master Long, the situation is very clear. Everything was caused by Long Yin. You have to know that the Long clan has never intended to be enemies with the dragon sect. We have always been good friends. What do you think? What did Long Yang mean? Not to mention Long Maoan and Long Yin. Even Long Ao was a little confused. He did not know what Long Yang meant. Although he didn't know, since there was no need to start a war, Long Ao naturally wouldn't rush. After all, with his current strength, he really couldn't compete with the entire Long family. Just Long Yang alone was enough to give him a headache. That's right. I came here this time mainly to ask about the whereabouts of my parents. Long Yin attacked me without distinguishing right from wrong. I was merely acting in self-defense. Please take a seat. Long Ao also did not have the slightest bit of politeness and directly sat down. Master Long, I have thought about your parents. With the current strength of the dragon sect, there is only one possibility for them to kidnap your parents without anyone knowing. I would like to hear more. Supreme Tao martial art practitioner. Long Ao had already guessed what Long Yang was talking about. It was nonsense. The problem now was that he did not know where this Supreme Tao martial art practitioner came from and what grudges he had with him. Why didn't he come for him, but his parents? Long Ao knew clearly that if this person had the strength to kidnap his parents without anyone knowing, it was enough to prove his strength. If that was the case, why didn't he attack him directly? Long Ao could not think of a reason no matter how hard he thought about it. It was too strange. Brother Long, of course I know it was done by a Supreme Tao martial art practitioner. I just don't know who he is. Brother Long? Hearing Long Ao call the old ancestor Brother Long, Long Maoan and Long Yin had the urge to go up and kick him. He was King shameless. At the same time, they were furious. Because of this, they were inferior by many generations for no reason. But with the old ancestor as an example, Long Yin and Long Maoan did not dare to say anything. They did not know what the old ancestor meant. Was he helping them, or Long Ao? It seems like this person has no ill intentions. Once a Supreme Tao martial art practitioner has his eyes on you, I believe no one in the dragon sect is a match for him. Apart from Long Ao and Long Haosher, no one else knew about Long Baishan's existence. It was also because of this that Long Ao became more and more unable to understand. According to the old ancestor's divine realm strength, who could have such powerful strength to be able to take away his parents without anyone knowing and even disappear with the old ancestor? Chapter 678. Master Long, are you suspecting that the four forces are behind this? He shook his head. Long Ao said bluntly, with all due respect, The four forces don't seem to have any supreme Tao warriors. Everyone knew that the four forces didn't have any supreme Tao warriors. It wasn't a secret. No matter what, supreme Tao warriors were the most powerful warriors in the world. Long family, heaven, and earth sect, and Wan Shou sect were the exceptions. That was why Long Yang wasn't angry at all. Master Long, you're right. The four of us don't have any supreme Tao warriors. So, what happened to your parents wasn't done by us. Longao didn't say anything. He just sat there quietly because he knew that Long Yang must have something else to say. As expected, Long Yang thought for a while and continued, Master Long, I think we should write off the grudge between you and the Long family. How about that? He sneered in his heart. Longao wasn't a fool. Of course, he knew what Long Yang meant. If it was in the past, would the Long family say something like that? No matter if others believed it or not, he would never believe it. In the end, the Long family did this because they were afraid of his strength. However, Long Ao didn't refuse because he knew the rules of survival in this world. Nodding, Long Ao said, I don't have any grudge with the Long family. It's just that you don't want to let me go. Since Brother Long has spoken, I won't argue with you. F***CK hearing Long Ao's words, the five of them cursed in their hearts. However, things had already come to this point. Even if Long Yin and Long Maoan were unhappy and unwilling, they could only listen obediently and didn't dare to say anything. All right, Master Long. Since you're so straightforward, we have a deal. If you need anything in the future, feel free to look for me. Thank you. Long Ao didn't stay any longer. He got up and left. Looking at the disappearing figure, Long Yang's face instantly turned cold. His body emitted a murderous aura which scared the four of them. They didn't know what had happened to their ancestor. Ancestor. Before Long Ao could speak, Long Yang had already snorted coldly and said, You can't do anything right. Long Ao, you have to remember that we have already lost our best chance. Moreover, killing Long Ao now will not do us any good. He shuddered. For a moment, he could clearly sense that the old ancestor in front of him wanted to kill him. If it weren't for his identity and bloodline, he believed that he would have been dead by now. Long Yin, that was just a temporary measure. The current Long Ao is no longer the same as before. If we kill this person, once the Dragon Sect's corpse slave army goes all out against us, then we will really be in a passive position. Understood, Ancestor. Hearing the old ancestor's explanation, Long Yin heaved a sigh of relief. At the end of the day, the old ancestor was still on his side and not helping Long Ao. He had been scared silly just now. Ancestor, what should we do now? Although he didn't understand the old ancestor's meaning, the old ancestor had already personally stepped in. Even if Long Yang was the clan leader, he couldn't control Long Yang. In other words, as long as Long Yang interfered in this matter, Long Maoan would be like a puppet. Long Maoan was very unhappy, but his identity and strength were there, so he could only be a little unhappy. Wait and see. Wait for Long Ao to make his move. Long Yin and Long Maoan didn't really understand the old ancestor's words. Both of them looked at him curiously. The Dragon Sect's strength is enough to threaten any of our clans. If Long Ao leads the Dragon Sect to fight against the other three clans, then we can just sit back and reap the benefits. Isn't that better? So that's how it is. At this moment, Long Maoan and Long Yin finally understood the old ancestor's meaning. He wanted to watch the fight from the sidelines. However, when he thought of the 8 Earth Sacred Realm experts that they had just lost, Long Maoan's expression turned ugly. All right, don't let this matter spread. Understood. An hour later, Clan Leader, are we just going to let this go? What else can we do? The old ancestor has already spoken. We can only do as he says. Do you understand? Long Yin said coldly. Clan Leader, I believe you've already seen the strength and talent that Long Ao has displayed. If this continues, I believe that it won't be long before Long Ao surpasses our clan. When that time comes, what should we do? How could Long Maoan not know the worry in Long Yan's words? However, since the old ancestor had already spoken, what else could he do? Did he have to go against the old ancestor's wishes? However, the old ancestor was the #1 person in the Long clan. In other words, no one dared to disobey the old ancestor, including the clan leader. Long Yin, do you have a plan? Long Yin nodded and smiled coldly. Clan leader, if we act in secret, the old ancestor might not know. Instantly, Long Maoan understood what Long Yin meant. As long as we send out 2 Saint Kings, I believe that Long Ao will definitely die. When that happens, we can rest easy. Even if the old ancestor finds out, what's done can't be undone. I believe that the old ancestor won't kill us. For the clan, we can only take the risk. Saint King level warriors were extremely rare in the Long family. Unless they had no other choice, the Long family would not use the so-called Saint King warriors. However, both of them knew that Long Ao's cultivation had officially broken through to the Heavenly Saint realm. If they sent out Earth Saints and Heavenly Saints, it would be almost impossible to kill him. They might even lose them for nothing. Because of this, both of them knew that the only way to assassinate Long Ao was to send out super warriors. At the very least, they had to be Saint Kings. However, Long Yin and Long Maoan knew very well what 2 Saint Kings represented. If it weren't for the fact that they had no other choice, they wouldn't casually use the clan's resources. You're right. Long Ao is too unpredictable. In just a few months, Long Ao has reached the Heavenly Saint realm. Just as you said, at this speed, Long Ao will surpass us sooner or later. So, we have to take the risk. Clan leader, have you decided? Long Maoan nodded. He had no other choice because he was very wary of Long Ao. To be precise, Long Maoan was panicking. As an old fox, Long Maoan had never experienced something like this before. If word got out, probably no one would believe it. Gritting his teeth, Long Maoan said coldly, "It's decided. Go find Long Xing and Long Yu. Remember, tell them not to let the old ancestor know about this. Tell them the severity of this matter. I believe they won't refuse." Understood, clan leader. Chapter 679. After leaving the third-rank Long family, Long Ao did not leave the 9-state spirit domain. This time, he had made an agreement with Long Yang that the grudge between the Long family and the dragon sect would be written off. Although Long Ao was very clear in his heart that the grudges between him and the Long family could not be written off just like that, at least he could take a breather. It was very difficult to deal with the 4 forces working together. That was why Long Ao was prepared to deal with them one by one. It was not the Long family, and he believed that it was not the other 3 families. If that was the case, Long Ao could not figure out who did it. Who knew how long it would take for him to comprehend the way of divination? Long Ao knew that the longer he delayed, the more danger his parents and ancestors would be in. He also could not find the clairvoyant. First, even if he went to find the clairvoyant might not tell him. Second, it would take too long to travel from Tianzhou to the outer sea. He could not afford to wait. That was why Long Ao was prepared to search for the clairvoyant himself. There was no target, not even the slightest clue. At this moment, Long Ao's heart skipped a beat. He quickened his pace and disappeared without a trace in a short while. Long Xing and Long Yu were the 2 Saint Kings of the third-rank Long family. At the same time, they were husband and wife. Under normal circumstances, ordinary people would not be able to ask for their help. However, Long Maoan was the head of the Long family, so no matter what, they would give him face. "Brother Xing, Long Ao is missing?" "Humph, a mere heavenly saint. The head of the family is making a big fuss by asking you and me to help." Long Xing did not take Long Ao seriously at all. In his opinion, a mere heavenly saint did not need the 2 of them to do anything. It was a waste of talent. If this matter were to spread, where would their dignity go? Brother Xing, the legend of Long Ao is right there. For this child to be able to grow to this extent in just a few short years, there must be something extraordinary about him. Therefore, we should still be careful. He did not think much of it. It was still that sentence. From start to end, Long Xing did not place Long Ao in his eyes at all. "All right, I know what to do. The most important thing now is to find Long Ao as soon as possible and end the battle quickly." Long Yu nodded. Seeing that her lover did not listen to her advice, there was nothing she could do. Following that, the two of them began to search for their target. In the distance, in a dark place, Longao did not leave. Seeing the two saint rulers suddenly appear, Longao obviously knew what had happened. The Long clan is truly shameless. Longao had already thought of the shamelessness of the Long family, but he never thought that the Long family could be this shameless. He had thought that since Long Yang had come personally, the Long family would keep their word no matter how despicable and shameless they had been in the past. However, he had not thought that the Long family would still send two Saint Kings to kill him. If it was an ordinary warrior, Long Ao would not have taken them seriously. However, the problem now was that the other party had two Saint Kings. Not to mention teaming up, he was not even a match for one of them. If he wanted to leave, with Long Ao's strength, it would be a simple matter. However, Long Ao still did not choose to leave. The reason was simple. Since the Long family was not benevolent, they could not blame him for not being righteous. No matter what, he had already made an agreement with the ancestor of the Long family, Long Yang, that their past grudges would be written off and they would not interfere with each other in the future. However, the Long family had turned their backs on him. If he could swallow this insult, not to mention others, just himself, he would deeply despise himself. Because of this, Long Ao had already decided that no matter what price he had to pay, he would kill the two Saint Kings. He wanted to let the Long family see what the consequences of being shameless were. However, Long Ao did not act rashly. No matter what, the other party was still two Saint Kings. Once they fought, his chances of winning were not high. Therefore, Long Ao was thinking of various methods to see how he could successfully kill the two Saint Kings. Within the Dragon Seal space, Long Ao went straight to the point and said, "Long Fu, is there any way for me to successfully kill the two Saint Kings?" Of course, Long Fu knew exactly what his master meant. After thinking for a while, Long Fu said, "Master, with your current strength, if you continuously use your trump card, you should be able to fight against a beginner Saint King. However, if it's a higher level Saint King, or two of them working together." Although Long Fu did not finish his words, the meaning of his words was clear. Long Ao also knew about this point. Was there really no way? At this moment, Long Fu suddenly said, "Master, it's still the same method. If you really want to deal with the two Saint Kings, you can only borrow the power of heaven and earth." Long Ao instantly understood what Long Fu was talking about. After thinking for a while, Long Ao nodded. It seemed that this was the only way. After leaving the Dragon Seal space, the two of them were originally looking for Long Ao. However, the problem now was that Long Ao was following them. As two dignified Saint Kings, if they didn't know that they were being followed, who knew what they would think if this matter was known by the two of them? After searching here and there, they had completely lost track of the other party's whereabouts. "Brother Xing, it seems that this kid has already left. What should we do now?" Long Yu and Long Xing's faces were incomparably ugly. This was because if they couldn't kill Long Ao this time, how were they going to explain it when they returned? Explaining it was a small matter, but losing face was a big matter. Humph, as long as this kid doesn't return to the Dragon Sect, we have hope of killing him. Everyone knew that the Dragon Sect had a titled Great Emperor. No matter how arrogant Long Xing was, he definitely wouldn't dare to be arrogant to the extent that he could fight against a great emperor. "Brother Xing, are we going to the 9 provinces now?" Nodding, Long Xing and Long Yu were about to leave. However, at this moment, their faces suddenly changed. Suddenly, the two of them laughed out loud. Their laughter was filled with ridicule and contempt. "Long Ao, you really don't know what's good for you." Looking at the youth that suddenly appeared in front of them, although Long Xing and Long Yu muttered in their hearts, relying on their Saint King's strength, they didn't put the other party in their eyes. As everyone knew, the gap between a Saint King and a heavenly saint was huge. It was like a child and an adult. The two of them couldn't be compared at all. Snorting coldly, Long Ao was fearless, as if he also didn't put the two of them in his eyes. He coldly said, "What a long family, what a long yang." Previously, We had an agreement that the grudges between us would be written off. However, in the blink of an eye, the Long family turned hostile. Such a Long family is really a disgrace. Before Long Xing and Long Yu could speak, Long Ao continued, "If you know what's good for you, get the hell back now. Also, tell Long Yang that there's no need for him to play dirty. I'll teach him when the time comes. As for these shameless things, don't do them in the future. It's disgusting to see them. Get lost." Chapter 680. Get lost. Looking at the arrogant young man in front of them, Long Xing and Long Yu seemed to be unable to react. As dignified Saint King martial artists, they were actually told to get lost by a mere heavenly saint? If this matter were to spread, where would their face be? Long Ao is not for you to call. I have already given you two a chance. I will say it again for the last time. Get lost, or else. Although Long Ao did not finish his words, the meaning of his words was very clear. The more Long Ao acted like this, the angrier the two were. The other party simply didn't put him in his eyes at all. It was completely unbearable. What could be tolerated in a secret cave, but not in a chrysanthemum? Since they could not speak and could not win against the other party, they could only fight. This battle was unavoidable. But before the two were ready to fight, Long Ao suddenly turned and shot away. In a short while, he had disappeared without a trace. Long Ao ran away? Looking at Long Ao, who suddenly turned and ran, both Long Xing and Long Yu were completely dumbfounded. They did not know what had happened. "Brother Xing, what happened just now? Long Ao seemed to be provoking us." But before Long Yu could finish, Long Xing roared angrily, "I want to kill him." Pretentious. Long Xing and Long Yu were not fools. Of course, they knew that Long Ao was not provoking them at all. He was just putting on an act. After all, the other party's strength was there. Unless there was water in his brain, it was impossible for him to provoke the two of them. Endless anger. Monstrous anger. The two of them felt that they had been fooled. Endless anger and monstrous anger made the two of them chase after him without saying anything. With Long Ao's speed and the help of spatial teleportation, as long as Long Ao was willing, he could get rid of the two of them at any time. But at this moment, Long Ao seemed to be deliberately slowing down. After a while, Long Ao's heart thumped and the corner of his mouth slowly curled into a sneer. They finally caught up. Sensing the two auras approaching him, Long Ao was not afraid at all. Instead, he was pleasantly surprised. Because everything had already been arranged, they were just waiting for the east wind. "Long Ao, I'm going to tear you to shreds." Ignoring the two of them, Long Ao shot forward with all his might. An hour later, the three of them had already entered the dense forest and entered an extremely secluded valley. Long Xing and Long Yu entered the valley and suddenly lost Long Ao's aura. However, the two of them clearly knew that their target was definitely here. "Brother Xing, I feel that something is not right about this. Why don't we?" Waving his hand, before Long Xing could finish speaking, Long Yu had already said, "A mere heavenly saint. I want to see what tricks he can play." Overconfidence is conceit. I really don't understand. What gave you such confidence? Looking at the young man slowly walking out, Long Xing and Long Yu finally felt that something was wrong. Under normal circumstances, the other party should have left long ago. Why did he appear again and again? Could it be that there was some conspiracy? Although he knew that the other party was playing tricks, Long Xing still did not put Long Ao in his eyes. The reason was very simple. In Long Xing's heart, Long Ao was like a child. There was no need to worry about him. "Long Ao, I have to say, you're really not afraid of death." Before Long Xing could finish speaking, Long Ao suddenly looked at Long Yu and asked, "You're his wife?" Although she did not know why the other party was asking her, Long Yu still nodded. "Oh, I really want to ask you. Do you know that your husband is so retarded?" Hearing this, Long Xing and Long Yu were furious. Endless anger turned into rolling fist shadows. The two of them did not care about their reputation and directly attacked at the same time. They were prepared to end the battle quickly, kill the other party, and bring him back to the Long family. In Long Xing's opinion, no matter what kind of conspiracy, It was just a joke in front of absolute strength. That was indeed the case. If it was an ordinary person, all tricks would be a joke in front of absolute strength. However, Longao was different. It was because of this that the fate of the two of them was already decided. Since he had already chosen to borrow the power of heaven and earth, Longao naturally would not be so stupid to fight force with force. Just like this, Longao used spatial teleportation and constantly moved around the two of them. The two of them could only be angry and could not catch up to the other party. Longao, are you a man? If you're a man, stop and have a fair fight with us. Long Xing and Long Yu could not figure out how the other party did it. As for a fair fight, Longao snorted coldly. At this moment, a terrifying sound of thunder suddenly resounded between heaven and earth. Sure enough, sometimes, Longao even suspected that Long Fu was also proficient in the so-called Tao of divination. Otherwise, why would Long Fu be able to calculate the phenomenon of heaven and earth every time, allowing him to arrange everything? Before Long Xing and Long Yu could figure out what was going on, Longao suddenly stopped. Longao's sudden action really shocked the two of them. Not running anymore? Run your ass. Longao immediately activated the formation. Following that, the sound of thunder rumbled between heaven and earth and directly fell on the two of them. If the two of them were prepared, they believed that they would be able to avoid this calamity. However, the two of them did not put Longao in their eyes from the beginning to the end. Without even having the chance to react, the two of them were directly killed by the thunder and lightning. However, Longao chose to make a move at this time. Not letting the thunder and lightning devour the two corpses, Longao withdrew the array. The thunder and lightning of heaven and earth lasted for half an hour before the torrential rain gradually disappeared. Looking at the two corpses on the ground, Longao's face was full of murderous intent. Murderous intent. Originally, he did not want to choose to fall out with the Long family at this time. After all, his parents were not found yet. However, Longao knew that the Long family had bullied him. If he took another step back, there would be no end. Long Yang, it was your Long family that was shameless first. Don't blame me for not being moral. The corner of Longao's mouth slowly curled up into a sneer. He grabbed the two bodies from the ground, and without even thinking about it, he headed in the direction of the Long family. If Longao's actions were known by others, it was unknown whether or not he would be scolded for having water in his brain. Long family, main hall. Long Maoan did not know why, but he kept feeling that something was going to happen in his heart. Patriarch, what's wrong with you? Shaking his head, Long Maoan said helplessly, Long Xing and Long Yu will be fine, right? Long Yin obviously knew what the family meant, but he felt it was a little funny. He said, Patriarch, you're thinking too much. How strong is Longao and the two elders? Unless Longao can make another breakthrough in cultivation in a few days and reach the Saint King realm, is that possible? Chapter 681. That was impossible. Neither Long Yin nor Long Maloan believed that Longao could break through from the Sky Saint realm to the King Saint realm in just a few days. Even so, Longao's cultivation speed was already unbelievable. Patriarch, don't worry. This time, the two elders will definitely be able to kill Longao and eliminate all future troubles. Long Maoan nodded. Although he knew that Longao was no match for the two elders, Long Maoan still had a bad feeling about this. It was as if something was about to happen. Long Yang, get out here. Long Yang, get out here. At this moment, a scolding came from outside. Hearing the scolding, Long Yin and Long Maloan's expressions changed drastically. They looked at each other in disbelief. In an instant, their faces were filled with endless anger. Longao was simply provoking the Long family. If this could be tolerated, what could be tolerated? After a short while, everyone from the Long family, including the people from the other forces, came out and looked at the young man in the air. At this moment, Long Yang, Long Maloan, and the others appeared. Longao, what is the meaning of this? Long Yang's expression was extremely ugly. Longao was provoking the Long clan. He didn't care about the Long clan at all. If this matter wasn't resolved properly, the Long clan would lose all face. Ha ha ha, Long Yang. I don't know if you've forgotten our agreement? Both Long Yin and Long Forsaken's faces darkened when they heard the words. Their faces were as ugly as they could possibly be. Others might not know the meaning of Long Ao's words, but how could the two of them not know? One had to know that according to the agreement between the old ancestor and Long Ao, the grudges between the two sides were written off. But in the end, they sent out two Saint Kings to kill Long Ao. Where were the two Saint Kings? At this moment, Long Maloan couldn't care less about Long Xing and Long Yu. Instead, he said, Long Ao, who do you think you are? How dare you behave so atrociously in the Long clan? I'll make sure you don't leave alive today. Waving his hand, Long Yang nodded and said, Of course I remember. The grudge between you and me is written off. From now on, we will mind our own business. Is it really written off? Long Yang was very curious. He didn't know what Long Ao meant. However, at this moment, both Long Yang and Long Maoan's expressions changed. This was because two people had suddenly appeared beside Long Ao. How could Long Yang and the others not recognize the man and woman? Long Yang did not know what was going on, but Long Maoan and Long Yin did as well. Because of this, Long Yin and Long Maoan could not figure out why Long Xing and Long Yu had appeared. What had happened between them? Why didn't he kill Long Ao? Everything was so strange. Long Yang, don't tell me you don't know what happened. Long Yang was no fool. Of course, he could guess what had happened. Turning around, he glared at the two and asked, Is this your doing? Since things had come to this point, Long Maoan did not continue to hide it. He nodded and replied, Elder Ancestor, Long Ao has been looking for trouble time and time again. If I let him off easily, how am I going to answer to the family? I've already said that the grudge between the Long clan and Long Ao will be written off. Are you not going to listen to me? Hearing Long Yang's words, Long Ao's heart skipped a beat. He could tell that this matter had nothing to do with Long Yang. But no matter what, things had already come to this point. He had no way out. Putting everything else aside, if the Long clan knew about the two corpse slaves by his side, it would be very, very difficult for him to leave. Old Ancestor. Waving his hand, Long Yang said coldly, We'll talk about this later. After saying that, Long Yang turned around and looked at the youth in front of him. His voice was still gentle as he said, Long Ao, I've already said that the grudge between us will be written off. Long Maoan made the decision on his own. I'm sorry. Ha ha ha. Sorry? Long Yang, you really know how to joke. If I kill you and then apologize to you, would you be willing to do so? Arrogant. One had to admit that Long Ao was really arrogant. After all, Long Yang had already lowered his head. However, he still refused to let it go. This made Long Maoan furious. He roared angrily, Long Ao, don't be so shameless. Who do you think you are? This time, Long Yang did not say anything. He felt that Long Yang really did not know what was good for him. Even if the Long clan was in the wrong this time, as the old ancestor of the Long clan, he had already said such words. Anyone would just let it go and leave. But what about Long Yang? If the Long clan gave in, wouldn't it be telling everyone that the Long clan and he were afraid of the person in front of him? Although he did not want to completely fall out with Long Ao at this time, Long Yang was not afraid of a real battle. Everyone thought that Long Ao would back off. However, at this time, Long Ao suddenly said, I don't have anything. However, there are two people who despise you and want to talk to you. Long Ao had just finished speaking when Long Xing and Long Yu suddenly stood up. Long Xing, Long Yu, come back. According to Long Yang's status, the two of them would most likely retreat immediately when they saw the old ancestor. However, this time was an accident. The two of them directly ignored Long Yang. Long Xing coldly snorted and said expressionlessly, Long Yang, let me ask you, since you and Senior Long Ao have made an agreement that the grudge will be written off, you shamelessly sneak-attacked Senior Long Ao. As a member of the Long clan, even I feel embarrassed for you. Why don't you just kill yourself? Hearing Long Xing's words, everyone was dumbfounded, especially Long Maoan, who looked at Long Xing in shock. He did not know what was going on at all. Elder Long Xing, have you gone mad? I'm crazy? Ha ha ha. UF asterisk king dare to say that I'm crazy? I think water must have entered your head. Long Maoan, under your leadership, the Long clan is getting worse and worse. As the clan leader of the Long clan, I've always wondered if you're a fool. You're courting death. Long Yang stopped the furious Long Maoan. Long Yang had already realized that something was wrong. Under normal circumstances, Long Xing would not have dared to speak to him like this. What's more, Long Yang discovered that at this moment, Long Xing's eyes were empty, as if his soul had been seized by someone. Although he didn't know how Long Ao did it, Long Yang could still see the clues with a glance. Long Ao, what have you done? I'd advise you to let go of the two of them. Otherwise, Chapter 682. This is their wish. What does it have to do with me? Shrugging his shoulders innocently, Long Ao took 3 steps back and coldly watched everything unfold before him. Long Yang, don't you F asterisk king dawdle here. I don't F asterisk king like you. Before Long Yang could speak, Long Yu, who had been silent all this while, suddenly said, Brother Xing is right. Other than hiding in a rat hole to cultivate, what else do you know how to say? Commanding from behind. I don't even want to talk to someone like you whose brain is full of water. Kacha, Kacha. Long Yang clearly knew that all of this was Long Ao's doing, but he still couldn't help but move his palms to kill the two of them. Long Ao, you're courting death. You can't blame anyone else. Long Yang, even your Long clan doesn't like you. I'm very doubtful that your Long clan has the face to continue living in this world. How sad, how sad. Long Ao, she wants to be pretentious here. Do you think I don't know your little tricks? Long Yang cursed in his heart. Long Ao suddenly looked at Long Maoan and said, whether it's your decision or Long Yang's betrayal, it only shows that your Long clan is shameless. You're trash. Long Ao, I'll kill you. At this moment, a figure suddenly shot out from behind. It was a Saint Emperor. Long Ao was finished. Seeing the Saint Emperor attack, everyone could already see the result in their hearts. Long Ao would be directly killed by this Saint Emperor, and he would not even have the chance to fight back. Not to mention others, even Long Maoan and the others were 100% sure that Long Ao would die this time. A Saint Emperor was a powerful existence that a heavenly saint couldn't compare to. But just as this Saint Emperor shot out, Long Yu and Long Xing, who had just been killed by Long Yang, suddenly stood up and fought with the Saint Emperor. As Saint Kings, even if the two of them joined forces, they wouldn't be a match for the Saint Emperor. But the problem now was that whether it was Long Xing or Long Yu, the two of them were no longer humans, but real corpse slaves. The greatest advantage of corpse slaves was that they were immortal. Because of this, the two of them didn't fear death at all. Every move they made was a killing move. In this way, the two of them were actually on par with the Saint Emperor. What the hell happened? Looking at the two who had come back from the dead, everyone was shocked. They didn't know how Long Xing and Long Yu could come back from the dead. It was simply inconceivable. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, no one would have believed it. He seemed to have thought of something. Long Yang had also heard of the dragon sect's undead army. From the beginning to the end, the 4 major forces were extremely wary of the dragon sect. That was why Long Yang chose to put aside his grudge with Long Ao for the time being. But he didn't expect that Long Ao would be so strange. In such a short period of time, Long Yu had refined the two of them into puppets. You can't do anything right. The two of them shrugged helplessly. It would be a lie to say that they didn't feel heartache for the 2 Saint Kings being refined into corpse slaves. But so what? Old ancestor, what should we do now? Things had already come to this point. Long Maoan didn't know what to do. After all, they had already lost 2 Saint Kings. If they continued to lose them, even the Long clan wouldn't be able to bear it. Long Yang also knew that it was pointless to punish Long Maoan at this point in time. After thinking about it, Long Yang gritted his teeth and finally said, "Come back." The Saint Emperors who were fighting were also shocked. When they heard the old ancestor's words, they didn't dare to stay any longer and rushed back. Looking at Long Xing and Long Yu, who had been refined into puppets, Long Yang's anger reached its peak. He was like a volcano that could erupt at any time. But in the end, Long Yang suppressed it. Long Ao, my Long clan was in the wrong first. What do you want to do? Long Yang had given in? Everyone knew that Long Yang's surrender meant that the entire Long clan had given in. What did that mean? One had to know that the Long clan was one of the 4 major forces of the 9 states' spirit domain. With their power and status, even if the other 3 major forces came, the Long clan wouldn't care, let alone a small Long Ao. That was why everyone couldn't understand why the Long clan had given in. Could it be that they were afraid of Long Ao? Or were they afraid of the 2 puppets? That wasn't very likely. Because with the Long clan's strength, it would be easy for them to kill Long Ao if they wanted to. After all, Long Yang was a bona fide titled Great Emperor, the strongest martial artist in the 9 states' spirit domain. But the result was, not only did the Long clan not kill Long Ao, but they also gave in. Everyone was confused and didn't know what the Long clan was trying to do. Hearing that Long Yang had finally given in, Long Ao didn't want to make a big deal out of it. No matter what, it wasn't the right time for him to fall out with the Long clan. There was no benefit in doing so. If he was alone, Long Ao wouldn't be afraid of anything. He could do whatever he wanted. But the problem now was that he wasn't alone. He had the entire dragon sect behind him. Without the old ancestor, he could only rely on his grandfather and the Fire Qilin. Once the Long family attacked, the dragon sect would be in great danger. It would also give the other 3 factions an opportunity to take advantage of. Long Yang, you and I had an agreement to let bygones be bygones. But Long Maoan and Long Yin went back on their word. What would you do if you were me? Clenching their fists, Long Maoan and Long Yin couldn't take it anymore. But the old ancestor had already given in. What could they do? I don't know. You don't know, but I do. But seeing that we have a good relationship, Long Maoan, Long Yin, I'll give you 2 a chance. Kneel down and admit your mistakes. Kneel down? Admit their mistakes? What was Long Ao trying to do? Long Ao didn't care about the Long clan at all. No matter what, Long Maoan was the head of the Long clan. Once he kneeled down and admitted his mistakes, it would mean that the Long clan had bowed down to him. Would Long Maoan agree? Without a doubt, Long Maoan wouldn't agree. At the very least, even if Long Maoan agreed, Long Yang would not agree. He would rather have a big war than do something like this. Long Yang's voice was extremely gloomy. He said coldly, Long Ao, don't go too far. Feeling the murderous aura from Long Maoan, Long Ao wasn't afraid at all. He smiled calmly and said, Long Yang, don't be angry. I was just joking. As the head of the Long clan, although Long Maoan is a little shameless and despicable, he's still a human. Chapter 683. Long Ao's words were already overboard. If it was anyone else, they would have died here. However, Long Ao wasn't afraid because he had the ability to teleport. Even if it was a titled Great Emperor, he was confident that he could escape successfully. That was why Long Ao acted this way. He wanted everyone to see that the Long family wasn't as scary as they thought. Long Ao, waving his hand, Long Ao sneered before Long Maoan could say anything. Trash. Looking at Long Yang, Long Ao continued, Long Yang, the grudge between you and me will be written off for now. I hope that there won't be any more mishaps with this agreement. Otherwise, I will destroy the Long family at all costs. With that, Long Ao turned and left quickly. Looking at the disappearing figure, Long Yang's face was extremely gloomy. It was as ugly as it could get. In the main hall of the Long family, old ancestor, Long Ao refused a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. He didn't even take us seriously. If we don't get rid of him, where will the Long family's reputation go? Long Mo1 and Long Yin could be considered to be extremely furious because Long Ao's ruckus this time had completely humiliated the Long family. It was still the same. If they didn't get rid of him, the Long family wouldn't be at ease. However, Long Yang snorted and said coldly, the 2 of you acted on your own accord and put the Long family in a passive position. Seeing that the old ancestor wasn't too happy, the two of them didn't dare to say anything. They stood where they were, trembling in fear. Longao and I stopped for a while to restrain the other three forces. When the time comes, they will bite each other, and we will be able to reap the benefits. But now, our plan has been disrupted by you. So that was the case. How could Long Maoan and Long Yin not know what the old ancestor was talking about? However, Long Ao's cultivation speed was too fast. If this continued, who knew what would happen in the future? After thinking for a while, Long Maoan finally said, "Old ancestor, we know what you mean, but plans can't keep up with changes. Long Ao's development is obvious to all. With this speed, I can say that he will become a titled great emperor in less than 3 years. When that time comes, how should we deal with him?" Family head is right. Old ancestor, as far as I know, the dragon sect now has a great emperor and a titled great emperor. If Long Ao becomes the third titled great emperor, even if the four of us join forces, we might not be a match for the dragon sect. Hearing their words, Long Yang began to ponder. Seeing this, the two of them were overjoyed. Striking while the iron is hot, Long Maoan continued, "Old ancestor, if we don't remove the roots, they will grow again. For the benefit of the family, I have no choice but to do this. It doesn't matter if I sacrifice myself. I'm just worried that this kid is growing too fast." Of course, the two of them knew about the old ancestor's plan. If it was an ordinary person, they would believe that this plan would work. However, Long Ao was different. After all, Long Ao's development speed was too fast. It was so fast that it was unbelievable. Finally, Long Yang nodded and said helplessly, "You spoke too fast. I didn't think it through. This kid is not an ordinary person. We can't treat him like an ordinary person. Old ancestor, Long Ao is on guard now. If we want to succeed, I'm afraid it won't be that easy." Originally, if they could successfully kill Long Ao this time, not only would they be able to remove the roots, but they would also be able to regain their family's reputation. It was a win-win situation. However, they had lost the opportunity. Who knew where Long Ao had gone? As for the dragon sect, to be honest, neither Long Yang nor Long Maoan dared to go there. This was because everyone knew that there was a titled great emperor and a great emperor in the dragon sect. If that's the case, no matter what, we can't let Long Ao leave here alive. Old ancestor. Humph, Long Ao is too unpredictable. Even Long Xing and Long Yu were turned into puppets. Looks like he's not simple. Bring me Chun. Long Chun? Long Chun had gone to the Long family not long ago. Not only had he successfully awakened his gifted superpower, his cultivation had also improved tremendously. In a short period of time, he had broken through the heavenly saint realm and reached the so-called king sage realm. Everyone in the Long family was extremely excited about Long Chen's rapid improvement. With Long Chen's cultivation speed, they believed that it wouldn't take long for him to become a great emperor and even break through to the Supreme Dao stage. A Supreme Dao stage martial artist was definitely a top existence in the Jiuzhou continent. Once Long Chun became a Supreme Dao stage martial artist, the Long family's status would also rise. At that time, even the other three major forces would have to be wary of the Long family. In a short while, Long Chun had already entered the main hall. Long Chun first bowed to the three of them and asked, "Old ancestor, are you looking for me?" He went straight to the point. Long Yang and the other two didn't know about the relationship between Long Chun and Long Ao. Otherwise, who knew what the three of them would think? "Chan, I believe you know about the grudge between the family and Long Ao. Now, I want you to kill Long Ao. Can you do it?" Long Chen's heart sank. Of course, Long Chun wasn't willing to do it. In his heart, he had already treated Long Ao as a true friend. Now that he was asked to kill a friend, would he agree? Before Long Chun could speak, Long Yang continued, "I'll give you two people. No matter what, you have to bring back Long Ao's body." Long Yang and Long Maoan left, leaving Long Chen alone in the main hall. Long Ao, who had left the Long family, slowly curled his lips into a cold smile. He didn't leave but entered the Dragon City, which was the biggest city under the Long family. in a luxurious restaurant. It was empty. If it was any other time, there would be a sea of people. But at this moment, the restaurant was empty because Longao was here. Now, Longao was considered a celebrity. Everyone knew about him. How many people dared to barge into the Long family alone and make the old ancestor of the Long family apologize personally? Longao, you shouldn't stay. Seeing Long Chun suddenly enter, Longao seemed to be very surprised. But he still smiled and pointed to the seat beside him, saying, "Please sit." Long Chun didn't stand on ceremony and sat down. At the door stood two people. They were the two Saint Kings sent by Long Yang. This time, in order to successfully kill Long Ao, Long Yang had put in a lot of effort. Previously, they had already lost Long Xing and Long Yu. If they lost two more people, then the few Saint Kings in the Long family would all die. This was a price that the Long family couldn't afford to lose. But Long Ao's development was so fast that Long Yang was already afraid. So, he didn't care about anything else. If it wasn't for Long Qin, Long Yang believed that Long Yang would have directly sent Saint Emperors. In the end, Long Yang trusted Long Chun. But thinking about it, it made sense. Long Chun was not only a dragon warrior, but he had also awakened a special ability. P.S. Happy Mid-Autumn Festival, everyone. Chapter 684. Looks like Long Yang is going to fart again. Long Chun sighed deeply. Long Chun couldn't stand what his family had done. They had already agreed to write off the grudge between them, but they went back on their word and did it again and again. Once this got out, would the Long family still have any credibility? Long Ao, do you treat me as a friend? Long Ao smiled and said, if I didn't treat you as a friend, I wouldn't be sitting here and wasting time with you. I believe we would have already started fighting. Ha ha ha, you're right. Cheers. The two of them raised their cups at the same time and drank. Looking at the two Saint Kings at the door, Long Chun suddenly said curiously, Long Ao, I'm very curious. With your strength, it seems impossible to kill Saint Kings. I want to ask, how did you do it? Not only Long Chun, but everyone was curious. However, Long Ao was only in the heavenly saint realm. There was a huge gap between him and Saint Kings. They weren't on the same level at all. Long Chun thought that he couldn't do it at all. Long Chun was shocked by Long Ao's cultivation speed and talent. He knew very well that the reason he was able to break through to the Saint Ruler realm so quickly was because he had awakened his bloodline reproduction talent superpower. Long Chin's bloodline reproduction talent superpower, but what about Long Ao? Although he had already awakened the innate ability, he hadn't gone through the bloodline purification. In that case, his talent was far from Long Ao's. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't envious. However, Long Chun was only envious. He wasn't jealous or hateful. Long Chun, I treat you as a friend, so I won't hide this from you. The reason why I could kill two Saint Kings was all because of the might of heaven and earth. The might of heaven and earth? Long Chun seemed to be very curious. He didn't know how Long Ao had used the might of heaven and earth to kill two Saint Kings. Long Ao really treated Long Chun as a friend, so he didn't hide much. He told him everything about how he had set up a formation and used the lightning of heaven and earth to kill the two Saint Kings. After listening to it, Long Chun was shocked. Long Ao, so you're also a formation master? Seeing Long Ao nod, Long Chun swallowed his saliva. Of course, he knew what a formation master meant. A formation master was an extremely rare existence in the world. There were even rumors that a formation master could kill 8 people at once. It was even rumored that once a nihility martialist became a powerful array master, he would be able to kill enemies with the help of array formations. Before this, he hadn't really believed this. However, Long Chun finally understood that such a thing really existed. However, Long Chun also knew that he could not be both a formation master and a martial artist. In other words, it was impossible for him to have any achievements in both the martial Tao and the Tao of formations. No matter how talented a person was, it was impossible for them to achieve this. But what about Long Ao? Long Ao's achievements in the martial way were already obvious to all. He was definitely the #1 person in the 9 states. As for the way of matrices, just by looking at how Longao was able to eliminate 2 Saint Kings with the help of matrices, one would already know how high Longao's attainments in the way of matrices were. Which was also to say that regardless of whether it was in the martial Tao or in the Tao of array formations, Longao was a first-rate existence. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes and heard it from Longao, he wouldn't have believed that there was such a talented person in this world. Longao, I have a presumptuous request. I don't know if you're willing to agree. I can't do it. Without waiting for Long Chun to speak, Longao already knew what he wanted to do. Just as expected. The Tao of Formation. Once, I also wanted to cultivate the Tao of Formation, but I didn't have a good master. Longao, why don't I be your disciple and you teach me the Tao of Formation? Long Chun, I see you as a friend. If possible, I'll teach you the formation. However, I have an agreement with my master. Before I take revenge, I can't teach anyone. So, I'm sorry. He didn't continue to argue. Long Chun smiled and said in a low voice, Longao, now that the ancestor insists on killing you, it will be difficult for you to leave Dragon City. Regarding this point, Longao had long expected it. Seeing that Longao wasn't worried at all, Long Chun was even more surprised. Could it be that Longao really ignored the family and the ancestor? Long Yang sent you to kill me? That's right. Then what are you going to do? Since you and I are friends, I won't attack you no matter what. Longao smiled and said, if you don't kill me, how will you explain it to the Long family? Things had already come to this point. Longao was very clear in his heart that he and the Long family had already reached the point where they could not tolerate each other like fire and water. In other words, it was the so-called either you die or I die. However, it involved Long Chun. What should he do? How could Long Chun not know what Longao was thinking in his heart? For a moment, the two of them didn't speak. They just drank and drank. In a short while, the two of them had drunk a few jars of wine. With their strength, no matter how much wine they drank, it was impossible for them to get drunk. Channer, you've disappointed me. Hearing the sudden voice, Long Chin's body trembled. At this moment, Long Yang, Long Maoan, and Long Yin slowly walked in. The three of them didn't look good. The three of them had never thought that the most outstanding disciple of the family would get along so well with Longao. It was obvious that the two of them were friends. Ancestor, uncle, am I still your uncle? Didn't you promise us before? But now, not only did you not kill him, you're sitting here drinking with him. If this matter were to spread, where would the Long family's face go? Long Maoan scolded and continued. Longao killed 2 Saint King elders of the Long family and caused trouble in the Long family. We won't take revenge for this. Without waiting for Long Maoan to finish, Longao waved his hand and sneered, Long Maoan, do you have any shame? I thought that as the overlord of the spirit domain, the Long family wouldn't be so shameless. You have to remember, it wasn't me who wanted to write off everything. It was Long Yang who said that from now on, all the grudges between us would be written off. But what happened? Long Maoan was speechless. On the surface, you wanted to write off everything with me, but secretly sent Long Xing and Long Yu to assassinate me. If I hadn't found them in time, I would have been a corpse now. Long Chun is here. I want to ask who is right and who is wrong. Is the Long family shameless enough to talk to me about losing face? I'm very puzzled. Does the Long family still have any face left? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.